Recording in progress.
Blowing right on top of my head. It's working.
That was the idea. Hey, is Jan? Yeah, she says she can't make a phone call. She's out.
Rachel's training.
This week it's her kid's graduation or something. Her graduation was last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. Makes you wonder. Is it Huston? Heston? Is he a senior? He's graduating? Oh, is he? Okay. Oh, that's right. He's a year younger than Bo. I thought he was older. That's right.
Wait, your son's a dude? I thought he was just a major stress.
No. Yeah, most people do because that's who all he hangs out with is Stratton, Bo, Graham.
He's praying on you.
No.
Singer reservation.
Judkins. His last name is Judkins.
All right. Well, welcome to our city council meeting tonight. Appreciate all of you being here. We have kind of an unusual event going on here. We don't have a full quorum, and we won't for about 20 minutes. So we can't officially conduct city business for about 20 minutes, but we do have a couple of presentations that we can listen to. We just will not be able to vote on anything tonight until the quorum's here. So I'm going to invite, let's see, I'm going to invite our Pops concert presentation people to come up, make a presentation, and we'll start with that, okay?
I guess I'm the only people coming up, so I play drums, so I can't really play for you. Okay, we'd like to talk about the Plain City Pops, and the group itself is very grateful for all the support the city council has given us over the years. Alan Jorgensen, you might know him, he started it in 2012. They had around 20 players at the time, and they were always looking for a home. Last year, we had 65 musicians, and there were about 350 people that showed up for the concert over at the Lions Club Park. So it's growing and doing quite well. One of the things that is interesting that you might want to know is that Alan's kind of backing out now. He's got other responsibilities he wants to take care of, and so the board had a little heart-to-heart and had to decide, are we going to keep this going or not? We decided to keep it going, and so we're back with the council and going to ask for their continued support. And also, there's a little bit more. Back in 2021, the council approved about $300,000. Ooh, let's get to something. Got that. Okay. So, at that council meeting, they approved $300,000 of capital funds for an amphitheater. It was a super awesome mega project. It was going to be really super cool. And then on the 4th of November, they approved the location to be located at Lee Olson Park at the south end of the park. So, right over here. We tried to get a ramp grant for the remaining, for a lot of the money, and we ended up not getting it. They said that when they did the ramp grant for the facility in North Ogden, their amphitheater thing, it went really well until they started having musical things there, and then the neighbors started to complain. And so they thought, well, let's not get burned twice, I guess. So back to today. Let's go to the next slide. That's how it was going to look. It was really quite a nice facility that we had designed for us. Interesting that we had different groups were going to donate a lot of the materials. So Peterson had said they're going to donate the steel for the ramp and the roof structure. Buxton's were going to do the brick,
Yeah, the mortar.
and we were also working on people donating the concrete. Had everything lined up, and then when the ramp grant fell through, that was half the funds, and so it kind of just got dropped. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, you notice that it said we went too big. Pie in the sky, right? Go for it, go for the stars. Where we're at now, we reassessed what we needed for what we really do need. And you'll notice with 350 people showing up around Lions Club Park, you don't have a lot of parking. And so parking's a big deal. We do need a large grassy open area, and we usually have it in the evening, and most of the things happen out here in the evening anyway. And so trees on the sunny side would be great too, so that people aren't in the sun. Restroom facilities are great. Concessions, we've never really had a lot of concessions. We've had a few people come by and say, hey, can I sell sodas at your concert? And we're like, yeah, go ahead. But if we had a dedicated facility, you could have dedicated concessions there as well. One thing they thought was, if we had a dedicated facility, you could also use it for the larger concerts that we have once in a while. And so then you put a fence up and you charge. And you couldn't, besides that, the location here would still have access to the other facilities here, just in this complex. The thought was with the small, well, we haven't gotten there yet. But a smaller design would mean a smaller footprint, and that would also impact the other users of the fields less. And we did have an option to, and so this would be right up here, right? If you could think about it in your head. Can we go to the next slide? One place we had proposed before was over here. So it's this ball field, but it's the backside where you basically have some unused grass there. So if we put it there, it would face south and basically wouldn't impact the football people at all. I guess if you had some home runs hit once in a while, it might hit the roof, but that wouldn't be too bad neither.
Is there a fence there?
There's not. Well, there's a fence around the outfield, but this is in that triangle part right here. No, there's a walking path. There's some kids on a scooter right there.
Okay.
That's all there is. So you'd have the walking path that would go in front of it, and then you'd have your audience the other side of that.
When we discussed this on city council, I thought it was just to the south of the walking path in the corner, just to the south there, just right across. Yeah, right there. I thought that's what we had talked about with it pointing to the, open up to the southeast corner, yeah.
That would be even better, because south you're still gonna get a lot of cross sun, right? So south would
Yeah.
be better for a lot of people. I mean, we're not stuck on the location really,
Yeah.
but
Can I pipe in?
please,
Yeah.
please.
So originally, we were gonna put it here, but then the city council decided it was better on the south end. But then we went too big. Now, I still think the best location is the south end, when you have concerts. I mean, Colin Ray was a great example last year, right? We packed that grassy area, so it does make more sense on that south end. There was an issue also with heavy equipment and things, if you had someone like Colin Ray and stuff, to get down that path.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was determined that the south end was really the
Yeah,
best.
exactly.
The problem is Jared did a wonderful job creating this ginormous amphitheater, right, which was great, but to the point, it was too big. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. It was too big. I think what we're saying, it might be the next slide, is we need to go back and visit our original idea was just a little 3 walls, a floor, and a roof, and some electrical sort of thing. And I think that's more of a general purpose open thing rather than a big amphitheater. So this would be smaller footprint. I think you could probably do it for your 300,000 that you got in the budget and those sorts of things. So Jared could take another stab at it, give us a nice looking one, with a roof. But I think the bigger thing here is not just for the orchestra. I think you've got Rodney Atkins coming this year. Is that right? So if you're going to keep doing big names like that, I think you need a place for some of these guys. So
Diane, they tell you the size of stage we need, right? These big performers. What details do you have? Okay. Do they give you any parameters, what you need? I mean,
Yes, Colin Ray was specific on how big the stage had to be. I don't know what that is.
Good.
So we have to go with a different person that Brian usually get from. And I think Rodney we found too.
But that would be something you could look at while we're still in the pre-design stage. We could say, oh, well, if we want this kind of participation, then we're gonna need this type of footprint. So.
that's money to go.
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think there's a possibility that we could do the amphitheater, the roof and everything else, and then phase in the other areas once we had the ability to do it. I think that would be a possibility to do.
Small one to start.
Or do just the covering and the structure to start, and do the walls and the other facilities and close it at a later time. I think that might be the way to go, because what I see, we had some storage and like a little waiting room or something like that in there. Those could be done later, and we just have the structure itself done. Talking to Matt McBride, that's something that Matt and I had thought of as we worked on that design. So All right, I'll
Okay,
sit
but
down.
not just a roof only, but some kind of concrete flat.
Yeah,
Because that was, from what I remember in the very beginning, they were talking about, it's hard to set up some of the equipment, some of the instruments on the grass. It'd be good to have something.
yeah, you could do the flat work and just the metal
Flat
structure.
work and structure.
And even, you know, you could even take it and say, well, okay, we'll just do the structure and we'll put a roof on it after we get more funding, you know, or something like that. Or we'll do the masonry walls at, you know, at a later date. But that's a possibility if you want to think about that. That way you get an adequate stage. You're not going smaller and you're not regretting that at a later time.
That
Just
makes
a
sense.
thought, you know, as I'm thinking right there, and I apologize for jumping in.
No. We're at that input stage anyway.
Okay.
So we're regrouping and redesigning, so that's perfect.
Have you guys thought about like a movable stage that you could set up and then take to another location and?
Yeah. We did
Come on up.
discuss that a while ago.
The problem was, I mean, the expense, but
Yeah.
then storage and it wasn't quite big enough. I think even with Colin Ray, I mean, I guess that was a portable stage, but, and then we were worried that it would get damaged.
Yeah.
In the setup and take down. So it wouldn't quite be as permanent as perhaps we were hoping, but yeah, we did talk about it.
Yeah. That was one of our major concerns.
Are we worried since
Damage.
this is out in the open that it's gonna be vandalized and that type of thing?
You always worry about that. but-
Well, that's why we put in the cameras right there that I'm staring
Yeah,
at.
safe.
Yeah.
Put cameras in all the parks now.
Right, for that reason.
With the structure we're talking about, it'd be pretty hard to, you'd have,
Do too much damage, huh?
I would think in proximity to the fire department and everything, maybe
Yeah.
it's less.
Yeah, yeah.
they'd have to pretty good
Yeah.
something,
Something pretty big.
yeah, to cause some significant damage to that. What was the breakdown of grant?
I think we asked for 600,000 or something like that. It was a chunk of change.
I don't know.
Yeah, but we definitely don't need that. I don't even think we need a ramp grant to make this happen. I think you can do it with donations and what you've got allocated, but.
Anybody else have any questions? Conceptually, I think it's great. I mean, I'd like to see the staged approach. I think that'd be kind of cool to see how that would work out. Yeah.
You know, and my comment, we've talked about this a lot over the years. I'm for it. I like the idea. There's been a lot of people, surprisingly, that after these discussions come up and talk to me and say, hey, we're for it, we need it. There's also a lot of people that say, what about what happened up in North Ogden? That's a disaster. Don't do it. So even though I am for it, I am somewhere in the middle.
What happened
Yeah,
in
that
North
is a
Ogden?
Well, just the fact that they spent so much money up there and it's unused now, as far as I understand.
Well, I think they put it right in the middle of a subdivision
Yeah,
and it caused some issues with some of the neighbors.
a lot of complaints, noise complaints, all that kind of stuff.
The only ones that were concerned are those that backyards face it. And I know what we talked about is, you know, you come out here on a Saturday during football season and the music's blaring and
Yeah.
it wouldn't be much more than we have on a Colin Ray concert or some of the other things.
Yeah.
I would think.
Are you guys, I should know this, but are you doing 2 concerts a year now or just 1?
We've been doing just one.
Okay. Yeah.
Would love to do more, but it's hard.
Yeah. It's a big endeavor, what you guys do.
The other thing I would mention here is, well, let's go to the next one. I think we have it on here. Is that the slide? Is there another slide? Here, you got it. Well, these are the people who were donating. This up in the top right corner, I think we have 3,000, over 3,000 that people have already
Yeah.
donated.
Yeah.
So they're starting to say, what happened to the money?
It's still there. It's still there.
That's what we tell them.
Yeah. It's
If they want it back, have them call me and I'll give them a check.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we just need to make a decision.
It's kind of hard. Maybe we better not be getting money until we get really things finalized, you know, as far as cost
We
and,
got that when we were serious.
yeah.
Part of that was you need to get some money up front to show you're serious. So
Yeah.
we did.
But, yeah, I mean, I think it just has to make a decision if we're doing something or not.
Okay, yeah, I think it's worth looking at further.
I think Jed, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I will after you talked about the one in North Ogden there. You're saying it only gets used a few times a year. There's one south of us that's getting torn down in the next few weeks because it never got used. And so I think if we do this, I'm with Jed. I think it's great to support the arts and everything, but and maybe this goes back to Jared's comment, let's look at phasing and see kind of what it does, and then you have the ability to expand. I like that idea, because we don't want to build $1 million facility that you're going to use twice a year. That's just not very financially, it's just not smart.
Yeah, and I think that's why we wanted to go back to a smaller.
Right.
I think you're looking at the right direction there, yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
Yep.
Because we don't want it to go unused either.
yeah.
No, we want to use it.
We'd like to, I think expand it. Plain City's got talent, lots of other things. I think local schools said they would use it. So I think, I agree.
Yep.
But start small. Definitely start small.
One last thing. If you're worried about people complaining about the noise, you might want to think about how many people complained about the concert we have every summer anyway. Have you had any complaints from that? Because that's going to be the noise. That will be the sound.
Do we have complaints?
You have proof of concept already, I think. And that is right in
Yeah,
a lot more surrounded by, I guess the pickleballers might, but that's only so we don't have kapong, 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 kapong during our concert. But other than that, I don't know of anybody complaining about the music we play every summer. So,
That's
Good
only
point.
once a year, right?
yeah.
I
So once a
believe
year.
it's a concept. We already do it and we don't get complaints. So it's not going to get louder, especially if it's pointed, like you're saying, southeast. It's going to be pointed right back here. The neighbors in the back aren't going to hear it as much because it's focused the other way. So,
Well, and that's maybe another question I was thinking about. What direction do you face these things so they're good for the sun and the weather and the wind and all those things? Facing north.
And that's also the material that you use, the walls come directly to the sound too, out where you want it, so it's not going into, to a degree, I mean, there's still gonna be sound that goes back.
oh, you will get some, but if you remember your high school physics, the energy of the sound cuts in half every time you double the distance, right? So,
Of course, I remember that from high
you
school.
remember that one? Yeah, okay.
Don't we all?
You were in the back with me.
Yeah. I was- Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming you don't want to face it west, because in the evening concerts, you're going to be staring into the sun, and in the morning, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd have to north or south.
Well, and when we were talking about it being on the south end, it was because currently we're using, for the big concerts on the 4th of July, we're using the south end because that's where the semis pull up and the stages and everything, right? And we started talking about, well, therefore we need to make the stage big enough that we could just use that for the concert stage instead for the big concerts. But if we're going to have a smaller band shell, clamshell, rotunda, whatever you want to call it, then the south end is probably not the best location because we're going to need a bigger stage if we continue to do bigger concerts. So if we're going with the smaller rotunda, we're probably going to have to put it somewhere else, I'm assuming.
Well, I think since we're in kind of the design phase anyway, we may want to think of, okay, if it was just for the 60 or 70 people in the orchestra, that's one thing. But if you do want it multi-purpose for those bigger events, then maybe we go a little bigger. We may want to find out what those requirements are so we can get maybe mid-level, maybe not top tier, but mid-tier people here.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's hard to justify that much money for once a year.
Yeah,
and I want to make sure I understood what Jared said. So I think we can make the stage as big as we want. You were more referring to the structure behind the stage, yeah?
I was just the framing, I mean, that's what we could do, is the flat work and the framing on it, and, just get it in.
But the stage would be the right size to start with, and the other structure around it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty, what I saw in the limited research
Right.
I did,
Yeah.
that's about the size that we would need.
Okay.
So, that's why I'm saying maybe not make it shorter, but rather let's
Okay, yeah, I think
That's all I got.
conceptually, we're good with you guys further examining this and looking at it. And, you know, we have council members that aren't here, and I think,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how they are thinking, but I think generally, we're eager to kind of take a look at other things.
Cool.
Okay? All right,
Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, now we're going to dive into our actual meeting, okay? So again, welcome for being here. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Favero. After that, we will have a moment of silence, okay? And I just want you to, we're going to take a minute here, and I want you to think about anything you'd like to in this moment of silence. And after that is complete, we will have, we'll move into the rest of our meeting here.
I apologize for being late.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of minutes.
Looking through the minutes, I see nothing that needs to be changed, so I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for City Council meeting May 7th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. We will move to public comments now. If you'd like to come up, we're going to limit the time to 3 minutes, just so we can keep going with our meeting. But if there's something that you'd like to say to the council members or to the public here, come up and we'll remind you when your 3 minutes are up. Time is now yours.
I missed the last few meetings, but I first came to the first one for, my name is John Shank, by the way, for the Kelly's Cove overlay. And I see you're voting on something today. I don't know whatever happened with that. I know the planning commission, every one of them voted no, but I'm just wondering, did you guys vote yes for that?
We ended up passing that one, yes. They did make many amenities.
It was, yeah,
What's that?
just the agreement.
This development agreement, yeah.
Yeah, so has that been approved, for that to be built there, or?
We're going through the process of that. It's just the development agreement right now.
And what is the process?
Uh,
I'd like to know, because I live right next to it. And even the Plain City future land use, doing that, change that.
Do you have a statement to make, or? I
No,
mean-
I'm just asking, that's what I'm wondering, if it was,
All right.
going to be built there or not.
Well, we don't know until we vote on it, so, you know, it's
That's
got,
what I was wondering.
it's still got a process to go through.
Okay, so it isn't complete, set in
Complete
stone?
yet, yeah.
All right, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've already had our Pops concert presentation, thank you. So the next item up,
Another comment.
oh, we haven't, I'm sorry.
I guess this is a question too, I don't know.
I'm sorry, we're supposed to ask for your name,
Oh,
too.
sorry, Becky Martin. Sorry,
What was the name again?
Becky Martin.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Becky.
Hey, grew up out here, not right now here, but my parents are still have property and stuff. I'm curious on the last discussion motion here with the suspending rezoning until the overlay is done. Do we have any sort of timeline on when that overlay should be done?
Until the
General
general
plan.
plan until the general plan is done.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. So, again, do we have a timeline on that?
we have projections, you know, it could take up to a
Understand.
year.
Okay,
Yeah,
It's a process, yeah.
yeah,
I understand that. Trust me, we're 2 years into the process.
yeah.
So with you, it'll take you 3 years to get all those answers. Okay, I just wondered, because I don't think, I don't know. I have a hard time with following the rules on what is on the plan and not being able to be approved on it. It's frustrating, but anyway, keep going.
Okay, we will move forward then. Let's move to the presentation of the fireworks safety ordinance. Amanda Moore. What'd I say?
Oh, yeah, planning commission.
You know, I'm sorry, I can't even read my own agenda here. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Keep me in line here. Okay, planning commission.
You're not hurting my feelings, though. However you want to do it. Okay, so last meeting, noteworthy things. We held a public hearing for a rezone down, it's the James Fox and Johnson Family Trust. It's kind of down on the west end of town. It's between the far west end of town and kind of the landfill area, just north of the Pitcher development that's going in down there. Foxes live down there, Gene Moises used to be there, Max Eddy, that kind of area.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen it yet or not, but anyways, they came in and wanted to rezone from A1 to 18.5. It did meet all the future land use and general plan requirements. So moving out of the public hearing, we did recommend to approve that rezone. We did have a few people in the public hearing express comments, kind of summarize what their feedback was in regards to the development there. It was not necessarily just that development, but the development as a whole that's kind of going on down there. Being on that west side, a lot of these developments tie into that west end of the old part of town, which are very small roads, single lane roads, if you will. They're not really approved double lane roads. So a lot of expression of concerns with traffic going into the old part of Plain City there. That's not really ready to accommodate any more traffic really than it has on a lot of those back roads on that west side. I feel like as a commission, we're kind of in line with that. You know, there is a lot of houses looking to go in and development going down there with a lot of it potentially coming up through there. So there's definitely some planning and road issues, I guess, if you will, to look at in that area. So things we're considering as the developments come in. Right now, it's mostly rezones, not really developments yet. But we're seeing kind of what they're wanting to do, and kind of the concerns are kind of coming from that. So, and then of course water, you know, that's a common one, especially this year. That's kind of outside the city's control. We don't really approve water usage as the planning commission or city council. It's all done by Bonta Vista, Pineview, or Marriott Water, or Mountain View Water, I guess it is, not Marriott Water. So anyways, those are the main points, which is mostly just traffic and water over there. So aside from that, we did have a discussion on the detached accessory dwelling units. We're kind of relooking at some things on that. Main area of focus on that, I guess, would be the size of units that we would allow on certain lot sizes and in certain zones. We've kind of looked at that, surrounding areas, and kind of used their templates. There's a lot of cities that are by us that have adopted limitations on size of those, and so we did incorporate that in. There was quite a few things to fix as far as the zoning and the sizes. It wasn't really laid out very well in the ordinance, so we tabled it pending some of those changes. So you'll probably see that coming here pretty soon. There are a few other minor changes that are going to take place in there as far as setbacks and stairs and decks that would come off of those being included with the setback and not protruding into the setback requirement and things of that nature. But I would say the other things that we looked at were pretty minor. Have you guys seen that at all? Do you have any questions about that, or are you just kind of waiting to get it?
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sure you'll be getting that from us here in the next few weeks. We did have on our agenda a discussion for the senior housing overlay zone. We ran out of time, and so we tabled that for our next meeting, or future meeting. We did have a motion for a site plan for Intermountain Health up here on the S-curve. I think you guys are probably familiar with where that's at.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good. Looked like there was quite a bit of conversation prior to our meeting that went into that. So we did approve their site plan up there. Last thing is we had Wasatch Peaks Credit Union came in wanting to add a sign or upgrade their sign, I guess, up to their site. They currently have a kind of what I consider maybe monument sign out there with a little screen display on it. They're wanting to add quite a bit larger sign over there. We tabled that one. There was some discussion in past meetings years ago when the credit union first came in. There was questions about that, some remarks that were made at certain points with Kelly's Corner. That's the name of the development, the commercial development area there. About signs and having to be the Kent's is the main sign with the little spots on there, and that having to be used for the advertising areas for the surrounding businesses that come in and things of that nature. So we've been diving into that. Tammy's been looking to see if she can find stuff. From what I've seen so far, I haven't really seen much on that, so it's probably just going to fall under just the sign ordinance as far as that sign that they're proposing goes, and it does look like it is significantly larger. It's like 25 or 30, 25. Do you guys remember? 35, 25?
It was 25, I
I think it's 25. That's what I'm thinking too. I think it's 25 feet tall.
Signage wasn't addressed in the developer agreement.
I was actually sent the development agreement. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to look at it. There is some stuff in there that talks about signs and using the main marquee, but I don't know. I mean, I think we'll probably have to talk about that as a group and see what that means exactly. So I don't know. I'm not really, we're still looking at it. In fact, the email today just came across today with the development agreement for Kelly's Corner, and I briefly looked at it. So I'll have to do a little bit more research on that to know for sure. But so we did table that, just pending some of those things. So if any of you, having heard that, have any recollection of any conversations or approvals that went into that Kelly's Corner in the past, feel free to reach out to us, let us know. But, otherwise, that's it. Unless you have questions for me.
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you for your work.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Amanda, I'm not going to have you sit down again, okay? You're up.
Thank you.
Presentation on the fireworks safety ordinance.
Right. Mayor, members of Plain City Council and city staff, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Amanda Moore. I'm a Plain City resident. I love this town. I love the quiet streets, the neighbors who actually know one another, people who actually look out for each other. This is what I want to keep it this way, and I want to protect Plain City and the people in it. I'm presenting this proposal for fireworks safety ordinance. I want to say up front, this isn't about taking anything away from anyone. It is a community-centered guidance and approach that I believe is reasonable, practical, and puts the safety of our residents and property first without being unnecessarily restrictive. I will keep my remarks brief to about 5 minutes. I think you guys have the full written proposal available to you. So we have just come through the worst snow season on record for the state of Utah. According to the Utah Division of Water Resources, our 2025-2026 snowpack peaked at just 8.4 inches of water equivalent, roughly half of what is normal, and 3 weeks earlier than usual. Right now, 100% of Utah is in some sort of drought, and per Governor Cox's emergency declaration today, 95% of the state is in severe drought. That means the ground is dry, the grass is dry, the landscaping, the fields, the open land that makes Plain City feel like Plain City is all within a fire vulnerable state heading into the summer holiday season. Independence Day and Pioneer Days are just weeks away. Aerial fireworks discharge sparks hot debris that travel unpredictably, especially in wind. Under normal conditions, this is a manageable risk. Under the conditions we are now, it is substantially amplified. A spark landing in a neighbor's dry lawn, on a fence line, in a field, that is how a celebration becomes a tragedy. And it's exactly what I'm hoping we can prevent together. What I want to be clear about this proposal is and is not. It is not a fireworks ban. The people in Plain City have every right to celebrate, and I want them to be able to do that. I'm asking for two simple common sense guardrails. First, a mandatory 100-foot clear radius from the discharge point of any aerial firework. This is a meaningful minimum floor. For reference, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's own experts recommend 150 feet for aerial fireworks. The proposal sets the 100-foot as a legal minimum and encourages residents to use the full DHS distance wherever they have space. Second is when that 100-foot radius crosses into a neighbor's property, it will require written consent from that neighbor before any fireworks are discharged. So that can be a consent to clean up, a safety acknowledgement, any terms that the two neighbors can agree on. At the core, it's simply asking people to talk to each other. That is the Plain City way as far as I'm concerned. The written proposal also includes practical safety tips drawn from the Department of Homeland Security's guidance, as well as suggested tips for the city staff to implement this with minimal burden. I believe Plain City can also be a model here, not just to our own residents, but for the communities across Weber County. We are a small town with good values and good neighbors, and if we get this right, other cities will follow our lead. I think that this is something that the council can be proud of, and as well as the community. I also want to offer something that isn't in the written proposal, but came up as I was kind of thinking through this presentation. And I think it's a genuinely exciting opportunity. So as a part of this ordinance, I would encourage the council to consider designating one or more city-approved safe zones where residents who want to do fireworks displays have a clear, open, semi-supervised location to do so. Plain City already has some wonderful spaces like Lee Olson Park, where there's open grounds. So baseball fields between the baseball diamonds, horse arena, there's plenty of space to discharge fireworks safely, and the fire department is right here if we need them. And so this will help give some guidance for the community where they don't have that 100-foot clearance. Given today's emergency declaration, though, I think the safe zones are a must and perhaps the only sensible way to move forward. So this is the balance I'm hoping for. We're not just telling people what they cannot do, we are giving them a place where they can. That feels very much aligned with what this community is about. So I'm not asking for the council to adopt the final ordinance tonight. I understand it's a process as it should be. What I am asking is for the council to direct the city attorney or appropriate staff to proceed with the formal drafting of the ordinance based on this proposal. Specifically, I'm respectfully recommending that the council make a motion for the ordinance drafting process to proceed. In closing, I love Plain City. I want every celebration this summer to go off without a hitch, without a fire call, without a neighbor losing a fence, shed, or even worse. This proposal is my way of trying to help make that happen. I appreciate the council's time and your commitment to the community. You should have the full written proposal, and I'm here for questions.
How long have you lived in the community?
4 years.
4 years, okay. And what led you to want to do this?
Well, I live just off of 4100 in our little cul-de-sac. There are some people, not in our cul-de-sac, in the neighborhood in general, that are a little more reckless. And as the neighbors and I were kind of chit-chatting, we're like, something has to we have to do something. We have to try and do fireworks celebrations safely. So that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we want to do anything we can safely, right? The one thing that'll be hard on this is we'll change a few things, and the people that are reckless are going to still be reckless. So then it becomes an enforcement issue, and can we do that, right? We can on paper, but as far as staff goes, and you mentioned at the resources, is it going to be able to be done? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, I find it interesting. During the evening time, I oftentimes find myself on a bicycle riding around Plain City just because it's fun to see everybody shooting off their fireworks on, the 4th of July night. And what's interesting is almost everybody is shooting them off in the street or right out the edge of their street. Relatively pretty safe place, relatively, somewhat, right?
Yeah.
And so my point is that the people that are going to be reckless, no matter what ordinance we set, they're still going to continue to be reckless.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand the perspective, but I think we are in exceptional times. And we have to try something, right? I often refer to it as the Wild West, and it's okay to be a little bit wild, but we should probably set some standards, so at least the city tried to do something. The city said this is what's okay. If people don't want to follow it, you can't control that. But we have to make an attempt to do something because this is, there's a water crisis, right? So, and I don't know if the secondary water at some point is going to get turned off because we have zero water.
Well, it sounds like there's two issues, the water crisis and just the recklessness that you'd like to, manage. But I don't know what's going to happen throughout the whole state in terms of their restrictions. To be honest, I don't know the fireworks code by heart, if it's even how detailed it is right now, right? But if it's a water issue and a drought issue in terms of fire safety, then we'll see what happens in the next few weeks, because I think it'll be forced upon us. But I don't know. The recklessness, it sucks to say it, but I've already said it once. It's hard to stop people. You just have to find them as they do it. And I mean, Weber County Sheriff's here, and he can probably testify to that. But how hard it is to stop reckless fireworks.
Fireworks are 3 days before and 3 days after the 4th, and on the 4th of July, and then Joe can testify to this, all our work says, 100 Lines County fireworks complaints.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay? The problem that I see with this is who's going to enforce it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're dealing with fireworks complaints anyway.
Exactly.
There's several cities too that have these ordinances in place preventing certain areas in their city,
Yeah.
and people still do it.
Yeah.
We get calls all the time, have to respond.
Yeah, and it's hard for us, back, 10 years ago, aerial fireworks were flat out illegal.
Yep.
And now they say, well, they can't go over 80 feet or 100 feet. How are we supposed to show up in law enforcement and say, oh, that's 90 feet, that's illegal? So that was a total
Yeah.
and unenforceable law.
Yeah.
And so when you start putting things like 100 feet and strict numbers, we're not gonna go out with measuring tapes and measure this. I think there's some good ideas here, and I think it's something to look at, but I think maybe we sit down with Weber Fire, like he said, they'll start putting restrictions in place. It is hard to enforce.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, it'd take quite a bit of time putting an ordinance together, and
Well, and like you say, the ordinance is a paper, which is good, but you'd have to have 3,000 officers out here just in Little Plain City to manage it.
What is the cost of not doing something? Like, how do you measure that, of not having an ordinance, not having any rules?
You don't. Nobody says we don't have rules. We just say people aren't following them, and it's hard to enforce when there's so many, is all you're saying, correct?
Correct. I mean, for us, those are very busy nights. The 4th of July weekend, our chief has already told every officer, don't even ask for vacation this year. It's the 250 here,
I totally understand where you're coming from, though.
Right.
Protect our neighbors, protect the land.
For sure.
I
It's,
understand.
it's just practical. The Department of Homeland Security puts out guidance, right? So it's just practical to have that, or give people an open space where they can come do
And
it.
they do every year. They come over here to the horse arena. There's probably 20 people that get together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but this is just more the community in general. It's not in the water situation that we're in, right? So
I think that's where
the dry.
are gonna crack down this year. You're gonna see restrictions before we get to the 4th of July on fireworks.
And-
Almost happens every year.
And I'll be honest, I think 90% of the people that agree with you and would be willing to do, partake in this ordinance would be the people that are already self-policing themselves anyways, doing their own little fireworks celebrations. So it's hard to make an ordinance, trying to protect the rest of us from that 2 or 5 or 10, who knows how much percent of the reckless people. They're the people that are gonna be doing it anyways, whether there's an ordinance or not. So, and I get your point of view where you say, what's the cost of not doing it? And to take it that way, it's kind of like saying, well, if you guys don't pass it and then a fire happens in Plain City, then we can come and, shame on you. But if you look at it the other way and say, well, if we don't and know there's no issues, then, who's coming to you and saying shame on you for putting this in front of us? That's the comparison that you bring up.
But it's, just trying to watch out for my neighbors and watch out for the community because we are in a really
I
scary.
think these are really good guidelines. I do. The 100-foot thing is probably very smart and, ought to be adhered to. I just don't know how you're going to mandate that in Plain City,
It's a guideline.
A guideline, yeah.
Any-
So what are you wanting tonight? You wanted us to move this towards the process
Draft
of,
the ordinance, like to draft some sort of ordinance or guidelines. I understand it's already gone to the fire department, just to put out some guidance for the city and the residents on how to be safe this holiday season.
Well, do we do that anyway, Diane?
I don't know that we have in the past, but I don't think there's anything prohibiting us from that. We would just have to make sure the fire department, that we know what the requirements are.
Right, just a reminder, play safe and, yeah. Yeah, well, and like you say, there might be more restrictions coming just because of the drought.
Yeah.
Okay,
what do you want to do with this, council?
well, it's just a presentation, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it's listed as a presentation on fireworks safety ordinance, so we're probably not going to take any action on it other than that, just looking through it and.
Yeah, it's listed as a discussion
Listen to
motion.
the discussion motion?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to make a motion on this?
Well, I mean, I'm okay with looking at the guidelines and trying to, put that out there, whatever the guidelines are in 3 weeks or a month and a half, and you got the 6 days, 5, 6 days there where they can do this, and then on the 24th, and just advertise that and try to bolster that, but as far as this ordinance goes, yeah. Yeah, I'll make a motion to table this item.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Here,
Thank you.
recess.
All right,
Take a 5-minute recess.
Yeah. We'll have a 5-minute recess here.
Or at least that's what Adam said. I don't know, maybe they're talking back there. But they can't have three of us back there. That's a quorum.
It's new medication, so I'm like, I see that here, but it is just rezoning.
You didn't even have time to stop anywhere. You just,
Oh, no. Yeah, we are now.
I am.
Yeah. I thought you saw it because you called me like 2 minutes after I sent it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see yours either. Cause
You didn't? Oh.
Until I started texting you, that's when I saw yours. Crap.
Well, I'm glad you got here, so we can.
Me too.
You good to go?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the discussion and motion for the ordinance for the senior housing overlay zone for Kelly's Cove. Any discussion on that? So we approved the agreement, and this is the zone associated with the agreement. Okay.
We did get the updated legal description. It just hasn't been checked.
Okay, and he's checking it right now.
Well, he's not an engineer.
So, yeah, I guess
guess originally the proposed ordinance had some outdated legal descriptions as far as the boundaries go of the properties that will be affected by the proposed rezone. We have received from the developer new legal descriptions, but we haven't verified whether those match the property boundaries or any surveyor's, I guess, verification. So I'm not able to actually go through and read these boundaries and make sure that they follow with the property lines. Usually though, if there are at least parcel numbers on here,
So,
I don't see as well identifying the properties. Then it's unclear to me whether this ordinance is describing the correct property or not.
I would make a motion to table this until we can have some time to review that then.
We have to be able to review that before, so, yeah, I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We'll table that. Okay, next we have the discussion motion on ordinance to the rezone property of William and James Fox in the Johnson Family Trust from A1 to RE 18.5 at approximately 4600 west, 2350 north. Do we have a spokesperson on this?
Hi, my name is Taylor Levitt. I'm one of the interested parties in the development. So I don't have a presentation planned, but the rezone is for 15 acres that we're under contract for, and then the remaining portion of one of those parcels, the Johnson Family Living Trust. We're just rezoning the entire parcel since we can't rezone a portion of it. So just to 18.5, no overlay.
18.5, no overlay. Okay.
What was the planning commission's recommendation on this?
It was approval.
Yeah, it was approved. Yeah, recommend approval. So, yeah, unless there's any further discussion, I'll move to approve. Let's see, the rezone for the property of William and James Fox and the Johnson Family Trust from A1 to RE 18.5. 18.5.
And then the address. Keep reading.
Yeah, at approximately 4600 west, 2350 north. I guess that's an ordinance, so.
2026-06.
Okay.
Have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, resolution agreement on the Ogden's transfer station. We have some, you gonna come up, Eric?
So, my name's Austin Jenkins. I'm here.
I called you Eric, sorry about that.
Good,
Austin.
don't worry.
Okay.
That's the other guy. So yeah, I'm here representing Republic Services and Econo Waste. In an agreement, right? We own the Ogden Transfer Station as of a couple weeks ago. And so I know we've kind of put a proposal in front of you to start bringing all of Plain City's waste to the Ogden Transfer Station.
The one on 1900?
Yes.
Previously owned by Robinson, huh?
So yeah, if you've paid attention over the last year, 2 years.
Obviously I haven't, I
Yep,
guess.
so that is gone. Recycled earth is no more, gone. If you look at the history of it, Robinson Group and an investment company called Alos bought that group, bought Recycled Earth, put up a pretty large transfer station, came in, got Ogden City to sign as far as an agreement just recently, and then they just sold to Republic Services. So it does get a little confusing, I think, is the history of this.
Sure does.
I've been talking to Weber County for about at least 3 to 4 years now, trying to weirdly fight, kind of oppose it to one degree and kind of help the county. No decision was ever made for the last several years, and then to make light of that, Republic kind of came in to try and solve that. Now, the last thing we've heard is that I think Weber County has kind of called you guys and told you to try and stall this. I don't know if that is true, Mayor?
It is true, yeah, because they have a potential buyer, right?
No, well, they will not, they're not gonna sell it. So Waste Management is gonna come in and try and run that. I'm not really sure how they're gonna do it. They don't have an agreement with transportation, and they don't have an agreement with the landfill. The landfill I'm expecting it to go to is just as far away as ours, but they can only run single trailers out there, not doubles. So I know the bid they got for transportation out to that is $4 per ton more than our transportation. So doing the math, you know what I mean, because we have a proposal to the county as well to run that. Because really, once we bought the transfer station, we want to keep the public and the kind of the commercial waste separate. The transfer station we bought, really, it's not big enough to house all the trash from like a residential standpoint. It's going to be a nightmare kind of from the cities. So really, if we can kind of keep that separate, we do want to help the county run that. They're saying, I think Waste Management's come in with a different proposal, so that's kind of where it's at. There's two different proposals from that. I don't think there's not an official price per ton on that end with them, right? We do have a signed contract with the city of Ogden, and that's kind of where we're just trying to say, hey, scales of economy, if we can kind of keep most people together, it's gonna help them out versus split the group into two, and you're taking, Weber County before this all happened, you were taking about 1,200 tons, 11 to 1,200 tons a day, and you're gonna divide it up into two, and you're still gonna have to transport that somewhere, and that's the majority of your cost. So that's kind of where we're trying to not even get ahead of it, we're just trying to help.
Where's our garbage going now?
What's that?
Where's our garbage going now?
So kind of out in Tooele County, so west of the Great Salt Lake.
I mean, is it going to Ogden or is it going to Weber right now?
So right now it's
Through
going to
Robinson,
Weber.
yeah?
Through Robinson's been going to Weber. So yeah, that's kind of our proposal.
But that's gonna be changing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that would be.
We would prefer, now we want to take it to on 1900. And I think we've already given you guys the rate, very similar to, I think it's the same as Ogden City, $49 a ton. So yeah, the fear of the unknown is I'm not really sure how Waste Management thinks they can come in and do it cheaper. There's a big unknown, and I'm not sure if that goes to 52 to 55. Weber County was already going to raise it to $52 a ton. They were managing it. And I don't know if that goes higher with dividing and conquering. I'm not really sure how that will work. So it's kind of a little bit of an unknown that a lot of mayors aren't very educated about. You know what I mean? The county really hasn't said too much.
I'm Ashley Colley. I'm with Republic Services too. So I just wanted to provide some context on the agreement you have. When we sent that out, we had just signed with Ogden City and they got this nice rate of $49 a ton. We did that to be kind. At the time, we didn't know if Weber County Transfer Station was going to survive. We still don't know. There's conversations about waste management. I don't know. So we thought, let's just be generous and do 49 instead of 50 or 52. Guarantee cities, you know, they'll have an annual price escalator based on the economy, but they get locked into that good rate. So that's what we did. We're going out and telling the cities we're still going to honor that right now. We don't know what will happen if Waste Management comes in. They might price it up, and then we might need to change that and price it up. But for now, that's where we're at. So wanting to communicate and bring you in on what's going on.
Well, the one thing I will say, just so everybody's aware that's in the audience and maybe listening, this thing has been evolving by the second the last several months. And it's making it really hard. Well, you can tell just by their presentation, they can't even keep up with it to try to make a decision on the city's part. And we got a situation where we're not going to have competition in this industry, potentially, right? And so who knows what's going to happen in the future. I don't know. I mean, Jed, you made the joke that you haven't been keeping up. Well, you can't.
You can't keep
unless you're working this thing like these guys are every single day. It's been quite quite the thing. We were supposed to have several meetings set up, based on our conversations with the county and one of these meetings and a public meeting. And we haven't had that because then, as you said, the county talked about potentially selling it. Sounds like they're talking to several people, or at least 2 businesses. So I don't know. I don't even know where to go with this.
What does our current agreement say with, is it Robinson?
Yeah,
What does that say?
I can't remember. Diane, do you know, price-wise or?
Just everything?
Well, Weaver County's already told us that the agreement is complete. I mean, it's over at the end of June.
Oh,
So
June.
we've got to make a decision.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really Weaver County kind of controlled everything, and recently, up until just recently, there was really nowhere to take it other than Weaver County.
Right.
So they kind of fed everything one way until recently some things have changed. But yeah, Weaver County is kind of determined, they cannot keep up with the cost. Their costs are gonna keep going up and up if they keep running it. How they run it is not efficient, right? And so they cannot keep up with the cost. Their prices are going up and they can't compete with the Ogden Transfer Station, and that's why with all the commercial tons leaving, they're now losing money. And so, yes, as of kind of July 1st, they kind of said agreements.
The last WACOG meeting that we had, they were closing, you know, so,
Yeah.
and they're still closing unless they can get a pending buyer from
The
what I
last meeting I had with Ogden City, that's why Ogden City signed with us, is they felt they couldn't wait for Weaver County to make a decision, and they just wanted to make sure the residents had an option at a decent rate moving forward with a good partner, and so that's why they signed.
So I guess that's kind of where we're at. I mean, we have to do something.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly here.
Yeah, but I also feel like yes, I agree, but I feel like we're being a little bit strong-armed here. Like, who knows what's gonna happen there? So what's the agreement gonna be? Is it gonna be a year? Is it gonna be 10 years? Is it 5 years? I can't remember how it's worded in here. To me, there's gonna be a lot of changes, and yes, we do have to make sure we have the service, but 5 years? At that price? Okay.
So yeah, really, I would say kind of from our company, that's where they're just trying to secure a decent rate that we know we can make money on at a basic ballpark of where we've been. We've not tried to raise any rates, right? The proposal we have to the county to run that facility, the Weaver County Transfer Station as well, they currently run it with 32. I came in and with a proposal to run it with 4, right? So I kind of brought that thing way down, scaled it way back for kind of general public use with taking all of the commercial tons away from it as well. So, yeah. On the city side though, we're just trying to maintain a good rate and then keep up on a regular basis. So we'll talk to you with CPI pricing, right, increases, but really for the most part, we're just trying to keep a $49 per ton right now, which is where you're at.
When we brought-
Sorry.
Or no, I was going to say, when we brought that forward, there were some concerns, like amongst Ogden and cities, the market changes, are you going to raise our rates, et cetera?
for sure.
Because we are a business, right? So that is the concern. So that's why we put forward 5 years to help ease that worry. You're locked in for this. You're not going to get a big rate increase.
It says every January 1st,
Yes.
rates will be adjusted, if you guys didn't see that.
No. Is that within the 5 years?
It says beginning January 1, 2027, and every January 1 during the term of the agreement. Thereafter, all rates set forth herein shall be adjusted to reflect the most.
Well, then that's not locked in for 5 years.
That's based on the water, sewer, trash CPI. So every year, the Consumer Price Index comes out. They release like a percentage. Did the cost of doing business go up? Did it go down? So that's pretty standard for our contracts to have that built in. So it's fair. If the economy, if the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics are saying it costs 2% more this year, that's put on. If it's 3%, that's put on. It just varies by what the federal government says.
And the only other thing I saw, if you guys didn't, in the event the average cost of fuel exceeds $3.50 per gallon, contractor will charge a fuel recovery fee.
So it's already above that, so where are we at? So the minute we sign this, that's gonna be on here, correct? Because we're already.
So three large buckets in your cost, right? Two facilities to run it, and then one company to transport it. And that cost to transport it is gonna continue to go up or down based off the fuel. That's one of their main costs. And so really, we put that in there to basically keep up with the cost of fuel.
You have to, though.
Right, no, I agree, but
That will fluctuate.
All the time.
Yeah. I mean, our fuel bill this month versus a year ago this time is probably another $100,000 just at this one facility.
Really? Is that all?
That's always gonna change.
well, yeah. I don't know if the term guaranteed price for 5 years was used or not, to be honest, but I get that. I get that that's built into most contracts, but the general public isn't gonna understand that. They're gonna think you told us $49, but
Yeah.
It was in the last agreement, that same verbiage.
what are we at now? Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought it was 50.
Last time we were talking about.
Yeah, so I think it's 50. When Ogden Transfer Station opened right at the same time, Weber County raised the rates to 52, then they brought it back down to 50. So we've kind of tried to really come in at a reasonable price and not, yeah, I get it. The fear is we come in at, right, control the market, and then all of a sudden we're at 60. We do not want to do that.
Well, it's perfect timing for you to do that because yeah, anyway.
Brandon, did you get a chance to read it over?
I haven't yet.
Kind of long, but.
Well,
and, sorry, go ahead.
No, you were.
I was just gonna say, to Luigi's point, he hasn't had the chance to read it over yet. And then also, tonight might not be a good night to vote on this because I should probably withhold my vote, being we're related. So we probably ought to do it in a different night where other city council members can weigh in on it as well.
Are you making a motion?
Yeah, I will.
Table it?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to, I almost said approve, to table, I'm in that mood today, I guess, to table the resolution agreement with Ogden Transfer Station.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Sorry, guys. I like where the discussion was going, though.
We like Robinson, we like where we're going, you know, we'll just see where this goes, and we might have a little bit more information in a couple weeks too, so,
Well, we need to figure it out quick.
yeah,
No, right, I agree.
Yeah, please reach out to us. We want to discuss.
yeah,
So appreciate the time. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, now we'll have a discussion, a motion to waive partial fee for development agreement under 100 acres.
Nope,
Oh,
we gotta
animal
go back to
control.
the local agreement for Weaver County.
I keep crossing out the wrong things here. All right, let's go backwards to resolution for agreement on the Weber County Animal Services. So we've had this in front of us for a while. Do we have anybody here from to discuss this? I don't think we do.
Didn't we table it once?
Yeah.
We tabled it once.
Right.
We did table it once, and then,
Yeah, you had some verbiage that you wanted to fix, yeah.
because they
I
didn't
was
list out
going
all
there.
their pricing, but
Right,
you
but
and I
It's the
went.
same as Weaver County Sheriff's. They go off of population and call volume.
Is that why we tabled it before? Is that
Well,
what
there was a
We didn't
couple
know
things-
that.
I can't remember why.
Okay.
There was something to do with the interlocal agreement. I can't remember now.
I think that was the only issue I remember is that, wasn't it Brandon? I think you,
That's all I remember is just how the pricing is, what the formula is for pricing. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that we have a set price that's predictable, but the contract does refer to pricing will be based on a formula, but that formula is not provided in
That's right.
the contract. So
Yeah, the
it's not that,
formula's 60/40.
yeah, the concern wasn't to get a set price in
So
the
is it in there
contract.
now?
By what formula are we measuring these prices? Is it per animal? Is it
Yeah.
so much per service call?
And we know what that is now.
And you said it's in there now?
There is an answer to the question. It looks like we've got an email. The annual amount changes each year based on the final budget, city population. So there's still not really a tangible formula, just that it changes every year. So that's really the only concern on my part, is just the
When we met with her.
the finality of it. Sorry, go ahead.
You're good,
Councilman.
you're comfortable with it?
Yeah,
It was basically the same breakdown as the sheriff's office.
exact same.
Okay.
Call volume and population.
Yep. And I don't know which one's 60 and which one's 40, but that's what it is.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with the Weber County Animal Services.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution passes.
Resolution number.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, now on to the discussion motion, waive partial fee for development agreement under 100 acres. So currently it's set at 100 acres at $20,000, is that correct?
Yes, it looks like this is under the Title 11, Chapter 9. It's currently set at $20,000 for development agreements for projects over 100 acres. And the concern is, what about projects that are under 100 acres, but a development agreement is required by ordinance to charge $20,000 for maybe a 5-acre development? Seems inconsistent with the purpose of the code, where the purpose is to address large-scale developments. So we're bringing the issue to the city council to kind of discuss how we can process current developments that are under 100 acres, but the code requires a development agreement. For instance, the senior housing overlay, which we've just done a development agreement for. What would the fee be to compensate for the city's staff to kind of process that development agreement? $20,000 seems to be excessive for something at that scale. And I think we have current applications that we're processing as well that are requiring development agreements. The residential overlay with public amenities requires one, but we don't have an established fee except for just what's mentioned here for developments over 100 acres.
Isn't this just a retainer as well?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
but
just
to
a
ask a
retainer.
developer to do a $20,000 retainer on a smaller scale project seemed to be of concern.
We originally felt like they didn't meet that ordinance because they were under
100 acres.
But yet they've got to follow that ordinance because it outlines the procedure, but the fee, we need to figure out a fee for that.
So, two things, I'm asking a question. You have to change you change the code, it sounds like, and we need to look at the fee schedule to whatever we decide to, right?
In this case, the fee is in the ordinance.
Oh, well, that's what I
So
was
we'd have
just
to
looking
change the
at.
ordinance.
Yeah,
Unless he forgot that we could maybe have.
but this is just kind of an idea for council to consider, where the ordinance requires a $20,000 retainer, and that might seem overly burdensome for smaller scale developments. The city has discretion on, it's difficult with fees, but the city has discretion to waive fees. The only concern is, without an ordinance, we may be inconsistent with those waivers. There still needs to be, obviously, some fee. By ordinance. $20,000 is it, but obviously we don't want that to be the only prohibitive factor for developments under 100 acres, or else we'd be asking small-scale developers to deposit $20,000.
So does this need to go to planning commission first? If it's an ordinance, right?
I mean, that's, in my mind, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Waiving anything seems silly. I think it just needs a better structure to capture different size developments. Whatever it is, I don't.
Make it be proportionate is what you're saying?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, just to waive it, that's, no.
Yeah, I don't think waiving is a good idea.
Yeah, I don't like the discretion of being able to waive.
But we have an issue right now where there are current projects with applications submitted, and they're facing $20,000.
Yeah.
And what do we do with those? Obviously, until the ordinance is changed to reflect a proportional fee structure. Do we strictly enforce the $20,000 retainer on currently pending applications that are under 100 acres? Or come up with some other solution? Right?
Yeah, but right, I see what you're saying, but everything else we do, whether it's a development agreement or just whatever development we do, we have to get compensated in a way for our engineering fees, our staff, like the precedent's there. So I don't think the intent for this was to waive anything. It's just, it needs to be worded differently, sounds like.
I mean, it may be something that with proposed developments, it's not a full waiver, but a partial waiver that is consistently proportional, as if there is that structure in place, but it just needs to be consistent. That's a challenge, to be consistent without an ordinance in place. So between now and then, do we just strictly enforce it, or come up with some temporary solution? It's not a full waiver, but maybe a partial waiver, depending on the size of the development.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, if you did a
25 acres and below, it's this much.
Yeah.
So when this retainage money that we have, when is it paid back to them? Is it at final approval, subdivision approval? It's when the development agreement.
So it could be quite a while, depending on how long it takes. But the city doesn't keep the interest, right? Yeah, we can't do that, I don't think. Right. So what's the one you're dealing with? Or we're talking about 85 acres?
The one we're currently dealing with, which one is it, Diane?
80.5.
And then we did just have the show zone development agreement, which I don't think we obtained a retainer from that one. I don't think that was on purpose, but that one would have been subject to the same code, had we enforced it.
What about simple math? We're starting with 100, you go 85, it's 85% of the 20,000. I don't know. Still a lot, though. I think, maybe not, I don't know. What are the costs associated to that roughly? Do we know? Just, and I don't expect you to have them memorized. So are we hitting the mark now with 20,000? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because there's this 3,000 acres, whatever it is.
A lot more acreage.
Yeah, whatever, it's quite a bit. Which in that case, they'll end up paying more if it goes over that, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. I don't know, does the percentage make sense, or is that still
That could
off?
be, that could make sense, but we'd have to go through the process of getting the ordinance changed to do that, right?
Yeah, in order to,
So today, we could either waive, or we could say no, stays at 20,000, right?
yeah, I mean, when it comes to enforcing an ordinance, if we were to require more than the ordinance provides, we need an ordinance passed, or else there's potential legal claims there. But if we're choosing to enforce less of it, like reducing the amount of a fee that applies to a development, an ordinance would provide consistency, and residents can expect a certain dollar amount. But the city has also the discretion to not enforce any of its ordinances.
Sure, yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking a partial waiver could work, as we're working with developers, because right now they're facing $20,000 or nothing. It seems that the city and developers can agree that instead of nothing, we do a partial waiver, or else it's $20,000.
Sure.
So this is a bit of a, going into the area of contract law with the city, saying, look, our ordinance requires this, but based on the circumstances, the ordinance doesn't quite address this circumstance particularly. We're going to agree to waive a portion of the $20,000 to allow the city to be reimbursed for the costs of processing this development agreement, but we're not going to strictly enforce the $20,000 provision. The only other solution is we just say $20,000 or nothing at all. And then that's up to the city council. That's why we're coming to the city council.
Yeah.
Is that the approach you'd like us to take until an ordinance is changed? Or would you be okay with staff just kind of going off of a proportional guideline? I guess you can establish proportions right now until an ordinance is put in place.
Well, in my opinion, I have no issue where it's at now currently with just the 20,000 for, and just leaving it there. You brought up the idea of percentage, which I don't think is a bad idea, but I think bottom line is we need to send it back to the planning commission to get them to look at it and present an ordinance.
Well, and I think my recommendation's temporary until.
Right.
Until an ordinance is passed.
Right. So we at least have some, yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm gonna-
So, could we tie this in with the general plan? I mean, I think, I like the idea, because I'd like to open a discussion more on impact fees too, and how we address those. And I think there's a connection there, don't you think? I mean, so I think there's a
I'm not
lot.
sure what you mean by connection. I mean, impact fees have a lot of studies and stuff that go with those, but.
Right, but having it be proportionate to the size of the development, I think, is something worth exploring.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's gonna take a while, and again, I think the general plan might, as we open that up and we get that finalized, might lead us to some insight on how we do that.
Yeah.
So again, don't wanna open it up twice, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you asking for a motion? That's what it sounds like you're asking for.
I think that might be the wisest thing to do.
But
I won't
this
yell at you.
wouldn't require a motion or a resolution or an ordinance. It's really just how we administer the current ordinances, which is an administrative action, but we do seek the city council's guidance on items in ordinance that aren't quite addressed.
Until we have this done, are you guys opposed to having the city just, do a proportionate amount on acreages less than 100?
That's what I was thinking, just to strike a balance, right? But Jed's saying to keep it at 20, right?
Yeah, that's what I like, but yeah. Yeah, that's my point, is it's a retainer, they get it back. Yeah, right.
Some of them might.
Some of them do. So that's my opinion. And you're saying we don't need to do a motion and,
You may, if you'd like to do a motion, just to, so there's agreement between at least whoever's here. It doesn't require a formal motion to do it, not by law, but if you would like to vote on it, just so we at least have kind of an idea what the majority of the council would like.
Luigi, you're up.
I agree with Jed.
okay, you want me to make the motion then? All right, and if you two are done also discussing, I don't want to cut anybody off here.
No, we're good.
I'm gonna make a motion to, keep the fee, the retainer fee at 20,000, for 100-acre and less, as it is now in the ordinance, right? That's my motion.
Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution, discussion motion, resolution intent to suspend new rezones and overlays until general plan update is complete.
All right, I'll go ahead and say some stuff then. We've had quite a bit of situations come up recently where and maybe I don't want to put the whole city council, speak for everybody here, but I feel like there's been a few times where I felt like we've been painted into a corner. So I am for this, suspending new rezones and overlays until a general plan.
Yes, I agree, other than, the only thing I am worried about a little bit on this is, did we give it enough time for public comment? Because we just barely got this just in the last few days. So I don't know, while I agree with all of it, I don't know, I think it should have been known a little sooner so people could come and tell us how much they loved it or they don't like it, right? So that's where I'm at with it.
I think that's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mind if Jared comes up?
yeah.
You should just put a chair up here.
This is, as far as I know, what I read, it is a legislative decision. So as a legislative decision, I do think it does require a public hearing. So just that's all that's the way I understand it. That's the way I read it. So, that might be something worth doing.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
I think it should.
Good. I would make a motion to table this until we can follow the proper procedures to put it in place.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, whatever we have to do.
We can convert this to an ordinance, just to require, which would set it up for an ordinance process, get a public hearing going, have the planning commission review it as well, as a proposed ordinance. It's not one that necessarily needs to be published in our code, but it can have an expiration date added to it. Right now, it's just teed up as a resolution, and Diane said it correctly earlier, it's really meant to just start the discussion, not for city council action today. At least that was my understanding. So it was prepared as a resolution just to put the language in front of the city council, and then we can convert it to an ordinance with a public hearing and get more engagement from the residents.
Well, and real quick, and I should have done this before, so I apologize. I said I agreed with Chad, but this, I think it does need to happen. With this general plan process, there's a lot of details that are being looked at and changed and things, which, by the way, there's a meeting next week for the public to attend, Thursday, 28th, I believe. 28th. But I just want to make sure we do it right. So, does that give you enough direction?
Is that clear for you? Okay. Let's go to approval of our business licenses.
We have one, right?
One this week.
I'll
Any
move.
discussion?
Sorry, I was going to jump on that a little too quick. I don't have anything. I'll move to approve the business licenses as presented to me. Today's not May 15th, though.
No,
This
21st.
day of May 21st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Let's go to the approval of our warrant register.
Hey, Dan, or the rest of the staff, ERS, installation of new unit, is that the air conditioning here? Is that what that is? Okay. Yeah, it's
Oh,
cool.
yes.
Feels good in here.
Could have been a bad situation, but we had that cold spell that helped.
And what's iWork Systems, Community Development? What's that?
The work orders and
Code enforcement? Okay.
is that to track their work orders and things? Inspections, I guess.
And my last question, I see here, Pro Edge Technologies, West Park camera installation, microphone fix. Does that put us complete with Pro Edge Technologies? We're good to go now. Okay, great.
Who has access to that? You and Dan both share access? Okay.
And we've talked about the sheriff department also has access to that.
I brought that up a long time
Yeah,
ago. when we had
long
it,
time ago.
And we,
But that's what I was gonna talk about in my report.
Okay.
Well, I think we gave a thumbs up to that.
we did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
What's the Silver Ridge Elementary? That's what I was wondering. The rental?
Gym rentals, right?
That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, unless there's any further discussion, I move to approve the warrant registers for May 1st through May 19th, 2026.
We need a roll call on this one?
Second.
Oh, second? We need a second, too. Okay. Now we need a roll call.
Yes.
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 Okay, very good. Okay, reports from the council. Who'd like to start? I think we started there last time, let's go here.
The only thing I have is Dan and I have been talking this week about setting up a meeting to talk with Wasatch Civil, our civil engineer, to go over the streets master plan that it sounds like complete or almost complete, to see if there's anything else we'd like to see on that. Because I know we had concerns again tonight that talked about the street network, so. That's all I have.
Okay.
This week I have nothing to report.
Only thing I have is, I was at Ogden the other day, and they said they're good, they have access, everything looks good, and thank you. So,
Good, okay.
more stuff they have access to, the better.
All right, just a few things from me. Again, it was mentioned already, but the open house, all hands on deck for the general plan. They are going to need our help manning booths. So I'm going to ask you to kind of pencil that in, be available that night.
And if I remember, it's downstairs, right?
It's downstairs, yeah. Open house format, we'll each probably have a booth and we'll talk through it, and we'll have material there to discuss and surveys and, everything we discussed in the meetings thus far. Mailers have gone out. I know it's on our city webpage. Okay? Good, all right. Any other questions on that? We will have Wasatch Civil reporting next meeting on 3600. Dan, what do you want to tell us on that? The bids have been approved. They'll explain it all to us. Anything else you want to say on that?
Yeah, the
engineer estimate was, and Staker Parson was low bid. So, yeah, I was surprised, but yeah, no, that's good. So reputable contractor, and they were the shortest time and the lowest cost, anticipating to have it completed by October. So
That's ahead of schedule too.
we'll hold them to the fire on that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping though that'd be nice.
Well, they're the company doing the paving, so they're gonna wanna get it done quick. Otherwise, it's gonna put a burden on them, so that's good.
So no, it'll be good. So hopefully we'll get our pre-con here soon.
Stay up there a second, Dan. Just give us an update on 2200 too.
2200, the gate has been removed. The east section is asphalted down to the new subdivision Silver Valley, so that goes out to 1975. You can go into Sunset, loop around, do that about 5 or 6 times. No, but no, it's nice. To actually see that opened up, and talking with the county, they are planning on coming in here this next week to asphalt, get it prepped out, and then asphalt there the 22 feet. They did have their surveyors out this last week, and they marked the right-of-way line. We did get 2 drain lines installed in the middle section where a couple of the homeowners had drainage issues. So those are completed. And yeah. So yeah,
That's great.
Forward.
Thanks
So,
for all your help and work on that. That's great. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention, last Saturday we had a big event at Kent's. I don't know if any of you saw that. Traffic was tied up pretty much, but it was for a service event for military families. It's done every year. I know Adam showed up. I was there all day. Essentially, we had 400 vehicles come through military families. They each received about $800 per car or truck in groceries. I thought it was a great service and a great thing that Kent's does over here. They had all their personnel there, and they appreciate Plain City and all the help that was offered there. So, thought that was a great event. Any thoughts on that?
No, I was gonna mention it, but I figured you would. But yes, that's the first time I had attended, and it's pretty neat what they do.
Pretty awesome.
Yep.
Okay, well, with that in mind, we will adjourn our meeting, and of course, I'll have a motion on that. Then we'll move into our work meeting on Western Basin land and livestock property.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, work meeting. Western Basin land and livestock property for shooting range, approximately 4,700, 5,100 west, 2,700, 3,100 north, from an A2 to a C3 zone. Do you want to come up and address us? Yeah.
Ross Kelly. I represent Western Basin Land. We're the landowners for this project for the shooting range. We've been working with a group for about 2 years now, right? To try to find a location that fits for this particular shooting range that isn't necessarily a shooting range like we see every day in other areas. This one's more focused around veterans and their families and providing support and jobs and counseling and training. And so that's why they're a nonprofit organization. And so after looking at several locations in Weber County and also in Plain City and some of our land, we felt like this was the best location for them based upon the surrounding area. With that, we know it's next to the dumps, it's next to the sewer lagoons. We own the majority of the land around it. I don't know if any of you guys have been out there and really looked at that land closely, but it's not ideal property for much of anything out there. Most of the land that surrounds it right now hasn't had anything done with it. It's not being farmed, it's not being irrigated, nothing like that. So we felt like what better location than to stick them kind of out there where we felt like they were far enough away from other possible, residential areas, until the Weiniger property got put up for sale and some people put that under contract and then started working with the city to then put in a residential, development right there. Our biggest, I think, issue, I'll just be honest, is we worked with the Planning Commission for about a year to try to create conditional use in a zone within the city because it didn't exist at the time. And so under the direction of the Planning Commission and after discussions with them of what zone do we put this in? Where does it fit? How do we create this? Getting all of that approved and everything through the city. The next step for us was to be able to go in and actually get the rezone. So then we applied for the rezone, and we got tabled. Well, we didn't get tabled. We basically got the recommendation from the Planning Commission to the City Council to not approve the rezone because at that point they felt like this isn't the zone for it, we don't want to rezone it. Maybe we only rezone half because what's going to happen to the other half if we rezone the whole thing? So we kind of just felt like we just spent a year working through all this and then all of a sudden we got shot down. So we wanted to have a work session with the City Council because the next step was to come to City Council. And we were on your agenda and I apologize for not being able to be here for that meeting, but we felt like in that meeting a work session would probably be best to kind of work through it, talk through the issues. I think some of the things that we would like to address tonight, I think there are two major concerns that we've heard. That would be the noise and that would be those bullets. And so I'm going to let these guys kind of speak to that. But I think the one thing that I want to address tonight is that we feel a little bit like we're ready to go. We've been working on this project for a long time. Being that we're the majority landowner of the surrounding area out there, we've talked a lot about this being a really great potential area, and especially now with you guys wanting to open up the general plan and get some feedback there and maybe make some changes of doing a light industrial park and bringing some area to the city that is most requested from us as a landowner and a developer. We get phone calls all the time from people wanting 1 or 2 acres. They want to put a little shop with a bay and a small yard to park some equipment, whether it's landscapers, HVAC contractors. We've had paint companies call us, painters, they want to park a few vans. We've had a plumbing contractor reach out to us. We do have a lot of need, I think, in the area. Along I-15 is kind of just running out of space, and that's ideal, but they also pay a hefty price to be along the freeway. So we felt like, hey, if we could get a light industrial park and maybe work with you guys on the general plan to get this area zoned for something like that, that would be ideal. I think it would be a win-win for a lot of situations. What I don't agree with is that we feel like we're almost in a way, and for lack of a better word, being punished for a residential development that is not approved. It's not existing. There aren't homes that are already there, but for some reason that keeps seeming to come back to the conversation of we can't put this by residential homes. Well, there aren't residential homes. And the people who are out there already are already doing this in their backyards. There's neighbors right next to Marriott Construction. They've built a berm out there and they shoot out there all the time. My son goes out there on the west side of where Weiniger's house has been, and there's that subdivision just to the west of that never got finished. And they go out there and they shoot trap on our property all the time. And so it's the country. People are doing it anyways, and we feel like this is a great location. And if we could work together and figure out a plan, we'd love to work with the Weinigers and maybe make that entire area light industrial. I just don't feel like that's the greatest location, and the subdivision that's out there that already exists kind of is telltale of what we're going to get out there if we put a residential housing development out that way. So that's my spiel. I don't know if you guys have questions for me that I can address, or if you want me to have these guys address, you know, the noise and the loose bullets, but that's kind of where we're at tonight and what we want to kind of work through and talk through with the city council.
I would like to hear those guys talk, but I want you to stay up here because we're going to have some questions for
Okay.
you as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I want to just have them address the noise issue and other issues they might
Yeah,
have.
yeah, you bet. Come on up, guys.
Boy, I think we met one time at WECOG. I stood and talked.
I remember that, yeah.
So yeah, this has been a concern. Noise, there's always gonna be noise at the shooting range, right? We've been working with some people and really, you gotta put it in perspective. Berms, for one, that we're gonna put in, drive noise upward, not outward. That's one of the reasons we put berms in, not just for bullets, but for noise containment. Sound waves travel outward, they hit, they go upwards. One thing to consider, a bus driving by your house is 88 decibels above OSHA standard. Hearing, you wouldn't believe it, but it's the truth. 100 yards away from a shooting range, it's about what you're getting from a gunshot on a shooting range. You're gonna be able to hear them, but it's not gonna be deafening. That's one of the things there as far as stray bullets. There's industry standards for this, okay? NRA has a handbook, they have a standard for it. There's things such as, I don't know if you've ever seen them on ranges, as far as called barrel baffles. It prevents any rounds from getting out of the range on a rifle range. If you aim high, you hit baffles, and it just stops the round. It will not leave the range. Prevents shooters from aiming high. There's things like that we're looking at. We've looked at berms. Safety is our number one concern. Listen, we're a nonprofit, and you've heard our spill, what we do. It's not just veterans. Battle Forge Foundation was established for active military veterans and first responders, police officers, firefighters, EMS. We deal with mental health issues, suicidal tendencies, addiction. One of the big things we want to do at this range is police training. You probably know all too well, you have a Weber County range, but most departments have up to a 6-month wait to get on a shooting range. If they want to schedule a department shooting, it's not good. We want to alleviate that. So it'll be a public-private, it'll be law enforcement days when they can come in and actually train. You'll have a higher law enforcement presence in your city. We want to do stuff like that. So it's one of the big things we're angling towards. Not just a range, we'll have a gym on site, be able to roll jiu-jitsu, classrooms where you can come and learn crisis management. We'll have therapists. It's a full-scale wellness center as well. It'll be our headquarters. So anybody having issues can come talk to us, and we'll be based out of it. So not just a shooting range, but yes, it does provide an opportunity for all the people in the city to come out and shoot and enjoy that, and do it in a safe manner on a range that's been made and prepared with safety in mind, to keep bullets in, to keep sound in, with range instructors that are professional, that know what to do and know how to handle it and know how to contain risk. Okay, risk management is our number one goal. So hopefully you understand that. As far as noise, gunfire is gunfire. But I mean, if you've been around any of the ranges, you can hear the bullets popping, but it's not deafening like you would think. It's actually pretty quiet. There's things we can do to mitigate that, including berms, barrel baffles, things to direct sound waves upward versus outward. And that's kind of what we've been doing. We're working with people that help us do this. That's what they do. So they're professionals, nationally renowned. So.
Okay.
Anything else I can answer for you? Hopefully that kind of answers it.
Do you have another facility similar to what you're putting here?
We do not. We just started this a year ago, and it has grown rapidly. So we do monthly events, social events. We have equine therapy we're spinning up. We're doing all sorts of different things. This is just one of those things that honestly just seemed like it would work. It seemed like it was a good idea. I'm prior law enforcement, prior SWAT team guy. I see that our law enforcement is ill-equipped a lot of the times with their firearms. They don't get the training they need. They just don't. They can't do it. There's not enough facilities. So I'm really passionate about this, to be able to offer that to them and be able to offer them training that you can't do on an indoor range. Okay, you just can't. So there's things we can do and work with them that provide them opportunities to be better trained, better equipped to handle situations in the public, and hopefully mitigate risk while they work with people on that side of things as well. So that's one of my big passions. As far as that, if there's any veterans in here, or, I mean, shooting is therapy for me. I love it. Went and did it today. It's therapy for me. It's where I'm safe. It's where I like to do it. It makes my mind clear. And it's, a lot of people feel that way. So we'll run programs on this range that will include some therapy, combining leadership, combining therapeutic things, events, stuff like that, that will cater to law enforcement, vets, people of that nature. Above and beyond that, there will be public access as well. So just so you guys know, your city will be able to come and shoot here. Clientele will be able to come and shoot. Your residents will be able to come and shoot. We've got a layout. It's laid out with bullet travel in mind, the safest path possible. And we've done everything we can to mitigate risk. And we'll continue to do so. And we're happy to work through all of it with you. So, did I miss anything? Hopefully I did all right.
Did great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, so this is a work meeting. This is time to get your questions that you have about this project out. We can discuss it. I think, Amy, this is your meeting. Do you want to hear a comment from Weiniger?
The more the merrier. I'd rather address it now than have to deal with it again later, right?
Yeah, so I actually purchased that Weiniger property that she was talking about that's just out west of there. And I mean, I've grown up here my entire life, and like you said, there's always been shooting out there and whatever. So I really don't think that the noise complaints would be an issue there. And as it regards to like the Weiniger development, I know we haven't gone through all the approval processes and everything, but the parcel that is closest to where they want to build this is actually part of the agreement of getting those 30-acre lots from you guys that would be donated to the city. So I also don't see an issue with the residential being too close like you guys were saying and whatever. And I think it's an excellent area because, I mean, yeah, if everyone's shooting out there already and whatever, might as well have a range that they can do it at and be safe. Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think that, I mean, I went to the planning meeting that these guys were at.
Land distance between shooting range and residential, that proposed residential.
I don't have that off the top of my head. Anyway, but I will say from where my house is to where people already trap shoot, I mean, there's people that are 200 feet away, you know, it's not that far.
All of the ranges, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking at your preliminary plan, the schematic plan for the record. It looks like they're all on the south end. No, they're not. Never mind. That would be the east end. And some is on that far south. Yeah, okay. So I was thinking they were on the south end, but I'm looking at this. But the closest thing to the Weiniger property, I'm assuming future development. I don't know what that is, a building or what, a parking lot? What is that? What are we thinking? Yes. Yeah. So on the schematic plan that was, so it would be the southwest corner. Right here.
Packet for tonight.
This corner.
That's just parking, that's future development. For example, we wanted to do training space, classrooms.
So there wouldn't be.
There would not be shooting ranges here. This is just.
I wish we could put that up for the public to see. I mean, it's in the packet.
It's going to be parking and just open space. In the future, I just wanted room for a little expansion. If we wanted to put a training space, a classroom, or something else as we expand, something else. I didn't want to use the whole thing for a shooting range, right? Wanted a little extra wiggle room. Yeah. Also, we also want to cover this. This was part of the agreement in that 6 acres.
Let's hold up a minute till she gets it up. That way you can explain it once to everybody, not just me. So what we were talking about here is the southwest corner. Yes, southwest corner, which would be the closest corner to the said Weiniger property. to answer the mayor's question, I don't have footages, but there would be no gun range right there. We'd have to do the, you know, the measurements, but.
Because, yeah, if I'm understanding our planning commission correctly, the state ordinance is 1,000 feet from any gun range is residential. And it has to be 1,000 feet, state ordinance.
Yeah, and then there's an issue with the zoning too. Because right now what I see in our zone, a C3 zone, that this is a conditional use, is not part of the general plan or surrounding. That was one of the big reasons why we as a commission denied it.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
So, in our ordinance right now, we allow it's allowed in a shooting range, open shooting range is allowed in a C3 zone, right?
Right, there's been a lot of,
We added that to our ordinance as part of it. But out there in that area, I don't see any C3 zones as part of the future land use or the current land use plan.
yes, because I know there's a lot of up and down with that, and you've just,
I've been doing this for a long time, and general plans and land use plans can never predict the future, right? They're put into place as a guide to help us know and understand what we think is going to come, right? But no one can predict the future. That's why there are general plan amendments and rezones allowed within cities and city ordinances. Without those, people wouldn't have the right to develop their property the way that they intend it to. And as long as they follow those guidelines, that's why it's created. So for us, we would never come in and ask for a general plan update or a rezone if we didn't feel very strongly about this being one of those reasons as to why it should probably be amended. So we're obviously going to try to work with you guys as much as we can during this general plan update to give some feedback and some history and some future things that we know with other people we've been meeting with and stuff. But I just wanted to kind of speak to that a little bit of like, I agree, we don't want to go and open up a general plan every time somebody wants to do something they want to do, right? But if it makes sense, that's what it's there for. Does that make sense?
yeah, that all makes sense. That's how it works. I mean, I've been in the business for a while too, but wasn't there a lot of confusion, Jared or Amy, back and forth on this? And you already kind of briefly went over it.
So I'll just say one thing that was kind of a red flag is like the initial proposal for the shooting range was 25 acres is what the shooting range was going to encompass, but the parcel, come to find out, was 50 acres. They're only going to use 25 of those acres. And, oh, you can't see it on there. And the parcel encompasses south, the majority of it is south of the sewer ponds.
Yes, I'm looking at it here.
There's a strip that comes along the north and comes down to the frontage over by the dump, so. So isn't the parcel right? Yeah, right here.
Little outline around the sewer ponds. The majority of it's behind. It also has
Scroll down.
Yeah, so
You're saying scroll down.
If we were to rezone that C3, it would encompass.
Yeah, take your time. It took me a minute.
Come up and it comes down here and it includes this up here too, right? When you click on that parcel, unless you're subdividing it.
Yes.
But the parcel number came up and it went over and it wrapped around here, so that's.
Where does that sit on our general plan?
It's half and half.
So just to finish that comment, that was why, like.
Slide that back over.
Yes, it is touch screen.
They said it's not.
It's that.
Oh, I thought it was.
Is it?
We've always been able to just go hit things.
At least I was, that this was the shooting range right here. And then when it actually came down to rezoning, we clicked on the parcel numbers and researched the parcel numbers, and it was all of this. And I personally wasn't comfortable, like, the proposals to use this area here, or you know, this little piece piece here as the shooting area, but then we're rezoning this entire piece to C3. So I was like, I don't know if I'm really comfortable having a 25-acre shooting range on a parcel that the entire thing now has an additional 25 acres of C3 zoning for, they can put whatever they want. It's allowed in a C3 zone at that point on any of on this frontage over here on 5100, you know, or in here, you know. So if you wanted to put in, like lease that to a business or develop or put something in there, if you wanted to have access to another business to do light industrial, you could at that point do it. Because the zoning's changed now.
Which really is conforming to what's already there, the dumps and the sewer lagoons, right? So it's not.
Yeah, pulling into a dump and paying a fee isn't exactly a non-commercial use.
No, but I'm just saying that's what mine and some people's concern was, is if we're just talking 25 acres for a shooting range, in my opinion, it's different than 50 acres that you have all this additional ground that's now rezoned to C3.
So the conversation was, should we allow a shooting range in A2?
A2.
As opposed to in requiring it to be in C3. That was the conversation we had.
Say that again.
Yeah, but, so it's rezoned C3 now, yes? No, not yet, okay.
No.
Okay.
It's A1.
It's still A1, okay.
Is 6 acres of this is coming, you guys expand your dump, that is gonna be C3. That's literally what you're doing on the general plan. If you expand your dump, that's.
It's not C3, it's C2.
It's commercial, but
It
that's the
says
same issue,
commercial,
right?
But it does not say C3 or C2. That's the current plan, the current land use plan does show C2.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, it's going to commercial, not C3, but it's commercial.
But not the entire 25 acres, does it?
No.
And that's why I was pointing to the future land use plan, which is there. We need to locate it on there and figure that out too, so.
So, if I'm understanding right, the piece that the city wants is in the future plan for commercial. The parcel hasn't changed when we originally came in. It's always been the same parcel. Language was amended in the code to allow for a shooting range. We come back and they said, no, well, it's better in an agricultural. We didn't change anything. You're not getting commercial in here. This is a sewer pond. I mean, are we making a mountain out of a molehill? A, and B.
Isn't going anywhere for a long time.
And it's all surrounded by the Marriott's property. But
Did you guys kind of lead them towards the C2 in the discussions?
100%.
And then how did it get back to?
Hold on here, no.
Okay,
We did not say that.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That it was okay in the C2?
That's why it was created as a condition.
No, that wasn't in the technical review that I was in, Dan.
The language that was amended was only for C2. There was a lot of discussion about it, not in 3, had to be in 2.
And we're fine
It was
with
leading the
just
discussion.
split zoning just that area and maybe the rest ag. I really don't care, but
Breaking off the 25 acres.
yeah, yeah.
And maybe we could address that in the general plan, the rest of that. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's, to me, we need a little bit more commercial. We need a lot more commercial. I think that's as good an area as anywhere in the
Well,
city.
the other
That's
thing,
just me.
the other thing we need down there, this is another haymaker is a road
Yeah.
that goes east and west.
And when you're adding facilities like
Well, I mean, not even with this, with just the Weininger property and others that are developing. We're going to need a road somewhere right there, east and west. And our streets master plan that I spoke of earlier tonight might have one in that area somewhere. I don't know. We haven't seen it yet, but. There's your buffer.
This parcel right here is being gifted to the city, and it's wider than 1,000 feet. We just measured it.
On Google Maps, it shows that.
I'm well aware.
I think it was 1,300.
1,300 feet away, and we said that it was 1,000 feet away that it needed to be, and so that would be over the limit for where
Anyway.
they put it and where the new residential would
And
be
this
going.
parcel goes, anyway, that whole
That's
top
17
area, the
acres?
houses would not start.
17, 16 something, 16, it's almost 17 if I remember right. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's where it's at.
I mean, it was a quick phone measure, you know, it's
It's on
probably
Google
not.
Earth, I wasn't able to go
It's
up
a
there.
Google Earth measurement, it's really quick.
But again, for the record, that hasn't been approved either, that development.
Right,
So,
I don't disagree,
right.
And honestly, you guys, these are the Weiners, they're the property owners, and they don't have the issue with it. It's other people that have said, you can't put this by homes, and I'm like, who are you? Why are you speaking to that when the land that's around there, that's, the two owners are sitting here and saying, we're good with this, there aren't homes around there. It's far enough away from any residence that it's gonna cause an issue. The other thing, Adam, I will speak to the road a little bit. We did talk with Dan a little bit, because right now the road was gonna come in here,
Mhm.
and this would be the dedicated park area. We talked about shifting that, we own this piece here.
Yeah.
We talked about shifting that to this side and lining that up with 2700 that goes to the west, so that you've got a decent intersection there. And we're both good with shifting that road, it just makes more sense.
Well, and with those discussions, this is just one person on the council. That doesn't need to be,
Yeah, but
Let
I'm
me
just
look-
saying that we can address that if we need to.
right, I agree. I'm just trying to get it out there so everybody's on the same page. Right now, on the exhibit, it says proposed access easement. No, I'm seeing this as a full-on collector road. And to make this thing all work, not only for all of this that's going on, but also the future.
So Adam, you're saying 60-foot right of
Well, whatever it needs to be, right? That's why I want to look at the transportation master plan. But you look at this whole thing, and we gotta stop just looking at one little piece of the pie here. We need to start looking at the whole thing. There needs to be a road. Whether or not we do the gun range, I have my opinions, obviously, one way or the other. And then the Weininger property, if that ends up going through, based on some of the things we've discussed, even if some of it changes, there should be a road there. And it should line up, as it sounds like Dan's talked to some people about, with the current road that's to the west of there, to see for the future. And then eventually, it's gonna need to go east.
That should line up real good.
Twenty,
Just gonna throw that out there.
2,600?
The intersections is dumb. Like,
I'm sorry, all my life it was 2,700 until I was like 17, they changed it. I blame them.
But yes, you're right. I've looked at all of that, and that's where it makes the most sense. And I've looked, Dan and I talked about that before as well, and I think maybe Phil, I can't remember, but it makes sense if we can work together on all of this. But we still need to address the concerns of, the first concerns that were brought up, and I've heard it a lot, I think my colleagues here have heard it a lot, the mayor already mentioned it, was the noise and the stray bullets. And then the 1,000-foot state code or whatever that I haven't researched, but Jared had that earlier and he mentioned it.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I may have to check with Jared on this. I have pulled up state code that has to do with shooting ranges. Did a search that with 1,000 feet. I found a provision about new subdivisions located within 1,000 feet of an established shooting range. I don't see anything about a shooting range having to be 1,000 feet away.
That's the verbiage I saw.
Okay, so this is actually a noticing requirement. It's not a prohibition of shooting ranges within 1,000 feet. It just means that once a shooting range is established, then developers who are going to develop within 1,000 feet of that shooting range have to post a notice on with the county recorder that there will be a shooting range within 1,000 feet of their home. So it's not really anything substantive to stop the shooting range development, it's just a notice.
The state code refers to, you can't shoot within 1,000 feet of a public road.
Yeah. But then you have livestock.
Is that the
and
one
all-
that you were referring to?
And is it 500-foot structures?
I believe it's 6.
I remember we had that issue a few years ago because there were some issues in our ordinance that we had to put it up. It was a little while ago, so.
If you go down by 4 Mile, people shooting out there all the time. They're not 600 feet away from you.
We used to shoot off the back porch, Luigi.
I know. I go on my deck right now. I go on my deck right now and I can hear people shooting out there. I don't think the noise is going to be an issue.
Then you went up.
No. I'm saying I can go out on my deck and I can hear people shooting back there.
Yeah.
Well, you will have to build it to a specification of some governmental.
There's outline definitions of what that needs to be.
Interface.
From a commission standpoint, it was the zoning.
Zoning, I think, was our biggest hangup, was
And then to Dustin's point, you know, on the
the entire parcel.
the entire parcel.
About an ordinance. We haven't. I remember we talked about this last time.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Have to create an ordinance. 'Cause I remember talking about this a while ago.
If we have a gun range in town, is that what you, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we wrote that into our commercial zones as, for a C3 zone, for it being a conditional use. And it's only allowed in the C3 zone currently. That's the way we left it.
Because I brought up, let's look at all the other cities that have shooting ranges. Bountiful, Brigham City, Davis, all these other ranges that I've been to. My 2 cents, I would love to see this out here. So when these guys approached Mayor Beasley, I don't know how many years ago, he called each one of us, it was on the council, and said, hey, these people are approaching me, this is what their idea is, what do you think? And I said, yeah, I love it.
Now, when
I
they,
wish we could figure something out, make this work.
yeah, when he approached us, this was talked about at a different location.
It was, yes. I was gonna bring
That's
that.
the
It was
first thing I
further
want to
west.
point out. It was a different location.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's why we looked at the location, because we felt like we're not gonna go home to get it done for the skirt bombs. But the
Until now.
west would be around, or 5,900 west.
But the property was sold to the Weinigers to make it happen, the subdivision, right? Right? What were you talking about earlier?
No, there was that strip that was part of the western land.
On the east strip, they sold us 100 feet so that they could put houses on both sides.
Right.
of the road that comes down from
Okay. Okay.
I can't remember what the top of the hill is.
I don't know, I got it wrong in the meeting, we talked about it.
Okay.
100 feet of land so that we could put houses on both sides of that street, that's all.
All right, I see. Now,
What was the 600 feet from a public road?
I don't want to. I don't want to quote without reading it.
Would this be considered inside or outside, though?
Do you happen to have a code provision that
Is it
states that?
outside, like I'm going hunting out, or is it outside meaning this open gun range? I guess that's something, yeah, that,
Discharge of a firearm within city
Okay.
limits, and then you have state statute. So I've been to all of them. Yep.
Really?
And to Rob's point, we've talked a lot about noise tonight. Yeah, people are out there shooting guns already as is, but there's a big difference between people shooting guns on their own property versus a city-approved commercial gun range, right? There's a big difference between those. Whether they're shooting out there already or not, it changes things when it's city-approved gun range.
Well, for sure.
And based on state law too, the use of a gun range is governed by national standards, the National Rifle Association or some national shooting organization.
Man, I think he mentioned that earlier.
So as far as just laws that apply to somebody shooting a gun, that's completely different than the laws that apply to a certified shooting range. And so again, I come back to what I'm just not sure about this concern about state code prohibiting this being within so many feet of a property, when really I'm only finding noticing requirements for developments that will eventually be built around the shooting range, not necessarily just a prohibition because it's so far from a residential area. If you can provide me with the code that does say that, happy to support the Planning Commission or the City Council on that front. But otherwise, the way that the shooting range is operated and as far as its the discharge of firearms, that's where these national standards come in. So that's my take. And then it just comes back to the discretionary call of a zoning decision, whether this is a place where a shooting range is meant is in the best interest of the cities based on the general plan or other considerations.
Is recreation on the future land use map, and that's what shooting is. But I don't know. I know what Luigi thinks now, right? I feel like if we can make this work, and not just the gun range, but the road, the Weiniger property, this whole area, who knows what'll happen with it, with the general plan. We've talked a little bit about that. Amy's mentioned it a few times. I'm fine to keep working together to see what we can come of this, but it's not a bad idea. Whether it's a location or whatever, I don't know yet, but just piecing it together in my mind the last, however long it's been, 2 months, or for you guys it's been years, not at this location, but there are a few other things we really need to consider as a city here before we just start plopping these. The road to me is the biggest thing. And then there's obviously the Weiner property, the 17 acres there, what we're gonna do with that if we take it on, right? So.
I worry about setting a precedent too. I'm not saying we're getting another shooting range in the future, but we might have a developer come in, propose something that doesn't match our general plan and say.
You did it for them. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's my concern.
But when does it change from, Jared, this might be a question for you, because it is recreation on the future land, yeah?
Yeah. It is open space recreation and commercial, I believe.
But what I'm saying,
And part residential. So that's why I'm saying we need to locate it better on that map and say what it is. It is hard to tell.
what I'm getting at is it's, as far as that concern, and I could be thinking of this wrong, but this is a nonprofit. The city's going to be able to, I'm assuming it's gonna be a discounted rate, who knows? You already said that there's gonna be a time for the city to use this, so that there's some open spots. That is recreation, and that is what the future land use map shows, right? So, I don't know. But, again, does that make sense with the 600 foot and the 1,000 and this and all the different regulations? That all has to be met regardless of what we decide. What's that? Yeah, well, it has to be.
Yeah.
This map is on our website, just so you're aware if you want. No, you're good. I'm just saying, if you want to look at it when you get home, because you really like looking at it when you can't No, you're good. I'm fine with you looking at it. I'm just saying if you have to look at it later on, or take a picture of it.
But the only action we've taken is to say, you know, we're not gonna zone that entire thing commercial just because we want one little piece of it to be a gun range. That's the only action we've had put in front of us. And so, yeah, I see what you guys are saying. Yeah, and so we're trying to work with them, and we will, you know, but I think we need maybe a separate parcel. We need to decide what the buffers are gonna be, make sure everything's in place, and then you know, I agree with you. I think the description of the A1 or whatever it is right now, where it includes recreation, we could rezone that to meet the requirements that we need to make this a gun range, but we want to know what it's gonna look like, where it's gonna be exactly, and the roads and everything like that, but. Is there an indoor and an outdoor, or just an outdoor range?
The outdoor.
Outdoor.
It allows us to do a lot more outdoor than indoor, and to be quite frank, an indoor range would require, it's
Yeah.
millions and like.
Well, that's why I asked.
Cars,
Yeah, I know.
No, but.
Dustin had a comment.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think Rob's exactly right. I think that's one of the main things was, you know, they came before, we had the discussion, hey, you guys, we don't even allow shooting ranges at all right now, so we looked at it, well, ideally, where would it be best at? It was determined on the C3 zone. Then the parcel came in that was significantly, you know, larger than what I think we were all under the preliminary plans and drawings, didn't show this wraparound on the plans they brought in, it just showed a shooting range. So I assumed that was the parcel. When it actually came time to rezone it, we looked at the parcel numbers and realized that it wasn't adding up, you know, like the drawing that we had, we were thinking this little square area is a shooting range, we didn't realize there was another 25 acres out and around and on the frontage of 5100 West that was part of that. So that was where it like raised the red flag, like, okay, so for this particular piece of property, do we want to, when we talk about setting precedences, do we want to rezone a random piece in the city that's not future land use as C3, or would it be better to leave it as A2 and add the conditional use to A2? You know, there's a little discrepancy right now as far as conditional uses go. My interpretation of conditional use has always been that you can either approve, deny, approve with conditions, the conditional use. Right now, I think that's a gray area. I think we need to iron out exactly what that means. I mean, in my eyes, a conditional use, you can either approve it, deny it, or approve it with conditions. So, would we be changing more precedent, changing the zoning, or would we be better precedent-wise leaving the zoning how it is and just adding it to the potential conditional use in an A2 zone? Doesn't mean that if someone else, I mean, we'll have to talk with legal on this, but my understanding of conditional uses doesn't mean that if 3 other gun ranges come in after this, that's extreme, but if 3 other gun ranges come in after this and want to go into the city, we don't have to approve it as a conditional use, we can just straight up deny it and say, no, we're not putting it, you know, we don't feel this is a good spot for a gun range, we're gonna deny this request. Or it doesn't fit with, you know, whatever, I mean, there's gonna be reasons why you're denying it, but. So I don't know, we can clarify that, but that was my proposal with precedences, you know, rezoning, or do we just do the 25 acres and rezone that, or do we leave it A2 and just add the conditional use like we did in the C3 to the A2, which would allow this. So I think as the conversation goes on, if we decide that we're working towards like, hey, I think we want to work with a shooting range, we want to put it in, here's the conditions that we do have on it, let's leave it at A2 so we're not rezoning a C3 piece in the middle of a, you know, future land use recreation area. So I think that's the main thought right now is how do we want to designate the land use? Do we want to rezone it C3? Or do we not? Do we want to leave it A2 or do we not? And I think we make that decision if the council and everyone feels like, hey, we want to move forward with this, we feel like our conversations that have reached a point where we think we can make this work, then we just determine how to designate the land use. Do we want to rezone C3, leave it A2, add additionally? Does that make sense?
Yeah, does it not meet recreation then? No? Okay. Okay.
So I will say that when we left that planning commission meeting, I agree with Dustin. It was, they didn't want to rezone the entire 50 acres. And I would have rather that night them say, we're going to make a recommendation that the city council approve this, but they're only going to rezone the portion that is on the site plan for this moving forward. When they brought up the whole A2 zone and leaving it that, what we didn't want was to have to go back
through all this, what happens if we
What's that?
approve it?
Like, if you want to
I mean, that's a risk they take.
Force of the site plan, it should include the entire parcel, not a portion of it, you know? Because at that point, it wasn't up for.
Well, and I think we need to talk more about the road and everything. It's all gonna be,
It's time to make that road
well, at least have the plan and have at least part of it built with the wires. Just, and that gives you a buffer between the dump and the subdivision and the gun range. And I still want the motorcycle track, but that's up to everybody.
How big is the range? How many yards?
So it's 400 yards, well, just off my research. Front to back, 400 yards, well, the same this direction as well. We're only gonna be using about 200 for the range. I have 2 rifle ranges, 200 yards long, one 100-yard rifle range, and between 7 and 8 pistol rifle bays for department training.
You can't rezone half of it on a meets and bounds? Are you sure about that?
I've done it 100 times.
So,
We may run into issues with the county recording it for tax purposes. They need to be able to tax parcels and to have 2 different zones on one parcel. We've run into issues with the recorder accepting. Yeah, so if you do that and then the rezone applies to the one parcel, then that would work. It just needs to follow a property line and not go across a property with just a description alone. And that really just has to do with recording requirements and allowing other entities to be able to tax appropriately based on property lines.
I mean, we could get it drawn up, drafted, and recorded by next week. That's how easy it is.
yeah, what we were seeing as a commission was that entire area.
Yeah. So it sounds like you guys are lukewarm on that idea. I don't know.
Doesn't sit well with me, though. I think that sets the city up, puts the city at it's a lot of risk for the city.
I mean, I'm more at peace rezoning 25 acres for the shooting range than 50 acres and only using half of it
Yeah.
as the shooting range. That would have been a whole different.
I would
feeling
like
for me.
I would like to see that set up and shown.
When I say these things, it's not a guarantee of anything, it's just my thought process, right? Like, I was kind of caught off guard
Right.
when it came down to actually rezone the property, and then I did my due diligence on it and realized, oh, like, it's never, none of the site plans have ever showed this, unfortunately, I didn't realize this was here. Site plan encompassed the entire site parcel, and then when it came to actual rezone time, obviously I do my research, and I'm like, oh, well, this isn't making sense, you know? So, that's why at the time I was like, kind of like, I don't know, like, I don't really want to rezone 50 acres and only use 25 of it. And then I pitched the idea of, what if we just left it in the AT zone and conditional use, but. And maybe it did take a year to do that, but it doesn't seem like if we wanted to move forward with that adding a conditional use should take that long. I mean, it should be pretty quick, I would imagine, but. I don't know, I'm not sure why that took as long as it did, to be honest with you. We've been going back and forth for an entire year. We met with them a year ago. That doesn't mean we've been doing a year's worth of work. Like, you know, a lot of this stuff got done pretty quick. You have. We can. And the only thing we asked them for in that first meeting was some interest, and they said they'd be interested.
And we got it, so
We didn't get anything from them, so they didn't know what they're at. So, I mean, let's just move on from that. We're trying to get this done, let's see how things. And so let's figure out the best way to do it. Let's figure out what the buffer zones need to be, and let's make a parcel that fits in, and we'll do it.
Well, but again, you're just one person on the planning commission, just like Dustin said, just like I'm one person on the council. But seems to me like that's kind of what you guys are saying out there. One of us said it, and so did I already, and I'm not gonna say it again, kind of where I stand, but I do wanna reiterate, we need to work with the Vinegars and that development as it relates to this whole area. So let's not forget about that as we're working now, how that works between the two developers, I don't know, but the access lane where it's at, to me, doesn't make sense. It should just be a road like I talked earlier. Let's do it right.
I'm just gonna say the access line has been there for longer than I have, because it was in the site plan. That's why it's where it is.
Well, and when I brought this up,
2700 umpteen years ago.
when I brought this up with your developers a month ago, they looked at me like I was a deer in headlights. So they didn't act like they'd worked with, yeah. And I'm not trying to throw them under the bus either. I'm just simply saying, talk about it. Let's figure this out on your end so when it comes to us, we're not confused and thinking what's going on, and we can make it, hopefully make it all work. But the planning commission needs to be okay with what we're doing with the parcel, and it sounds like they've said a few things there that they'd entertain. Yeah? Well, and that's all.
And on our side, that road is still needs to be a land that isn't ours, it's still gonna be part of the plan. And proposed not to be ours, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean they're not gonna do whatever you ask them to do with it. But the city also has to tell us what they want done with it.
Well, and some of these things are evolving based on the two developments too. Amy said it an hour, I don't know how long ago it was. The general plan evolves. We gotta be able to be open to ideas. We gotta look at these things as they're coming in, and if there's a better plan or a better idea, we should be looking at that. And if it doesn't make sense, don't look at it. Or look at it and dismiss it. The road is that. Like, we started thinking about this after you guys, not you, but the developers came in and we started talking about this development. We also mentioned the motorbike track a few times. We've talked about what do we put there in that spot to where the residents will be okay with this development. Those are the things that have to go on in our mind as we're out and about talking to people, right? So it's evolving with us too. And our streets master plan is getting done now. I'd love to make the argument that we should have had one before now, and we did, but we're growing, we're evolving. It needs to be looked at again. So anyway, I've said enough. I think you know where I stand. Yep. Said enough.
Yeah, it sounds to me like the planning commission would prefer to split it up and, you know, rezone part of it. That's what it sounds like the general consensus is, but also, I mean, there's comments out there that we need industry standards on the shooting range too as well. I mean, sounds like they've been asked or requested.
Yeah, but I still think it's good to bring them to the meeting, put them in the meeting minutes, that way they're public.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe they need to come to a planning commission meeting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a salesman in my daily job. I sell equipment that occasionally I haven't even seen it before, but I'm selling it. Right now, you're a salesman. So, you know, sell it to them. Bring what they're asking. Bring it what they're requesting.
I thought we kind of did some of that when they were writing the code for it.
Yeah, we did. As far as firm height.
I don't know.
Everything above and beyond that is
It sounds to me like this is not a no. It sounds like we just need a little bit more information. Sounds like all of us feel the same. And we want to help you guys.
What about the direction for working with Weinigers on what I've been saying?
And I agree with that too, actually. You've brought it up many, many times. 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
We've already had a public hearing, we've already had the planning commission make recommendations to the city council. It's really now in the city council's court. We can go back to the planning commission with the site plan or whatever. We can go to the city council with the meets and bounds and the legal description and say, here's all we're asking to rezone. And you guys can approve it. We've already gone through it. We don't have to go back to another public hearing or something. We're not asking for anything different. We're just making the area smaller that we're rezoning.
But they are, aren't they? Because they're doing it, they're splitting the.
Exactly. Splitting up
So
the
that
parcel.
changes, right? It's not the entire acreage, it's now just the area for the shooting range. So we can initially change it.
I can't. You're gonna have to speak up. Unless you're thinking out loud, because I can't hear.
You guys have an opinion on whether it should, what would you guys rather see the council, what did say with you? Would you rather rezone it, 25 acres to C3, or would you rather keep it A2 and add conditional use? What would be your preference?
Off the top of my head, based on what the planning commission's saying here tonight, I'd prefer to just rezone the 25 acres. That's just my feeling.
C3.
Yeah, to the C3.
I'm,
What, Rob, you said that's fine with you? Sorry, I can't hear.
That's the direction I thought we were going.
Okay.
I don't know what's even my preference, and, Dustin sounds like he has a different opinion, and so maybe we need to discuss it more. And I mean, this is way out there off of what we've been talking about, but is the conditional use, would that be more just the gun range? Because if you change it to C3 and then this doesn't come to fruition, now we have 25 acres of C3.
Any use in the zone has to come to you.
Correct.
Yeah. So this would be the only use being presented at this
Because
time.
it would be under a conditional use. That's my
So all you're approving is the conditional use permit and site plan.
Rezoning, we're not doing conditional use yet, all we're doing is rezoning.
I know, we asked about the conditional.
Yeah, two things, yeah, you're right, I was confused on that. So that's what I'm saying, is if we go to C3, and then the money doesn't come together for whatever reason, now we have that zone C3.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
good point.
so a permitted use in a C3 zone would be allowed
On anything that was permitted.
without a public hearing whatsoever
Correct.
to check the
Exactly.
boxes. But if it were a conditional use, then they would have to come back in and you can say yay or nay, and if you say yay, here's what conditions you have.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that are permitted in the C3 zone at that property, so how would that accommodate?
That's my question. That's what I
Well,
want,
I'll tell
that's
you
what I
what, we're
want to
gonna come
find
in
out.
and try to rezone the
So
whole thing.
that's why I say if we do A2, I mean, just permit everything.
Yeah, essentially, the decision of the council could come back as this is now a C3 zone, and yet the conditional use may not be approved. But it is now, or after the ordinance is passed, a C3 zone with permitted uses attached to it.
That's the thing, right? So like if the nonprofit doesn't have the profit or the ability to put in the range by something, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, I'm just saying we just rezoned a piece of property C3. Are we good with that? Even if the range doesn't go in, now it's rezoned for any use permitted in the C3 zone.
me personally, I am, because I just see the surrounding area. I don't see. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm new to the planning commission, I want to make sure I.
No,
No, it's a fair question. It's a fair question.
and yeah, me personally, I think it's a good risk.
We're going off of the rails one way or the other, right? We're either putting commercial
Yeah.
somewhere where we don't have it currently now, or we're allowing something in agriculture that we haven't done before. So either way, we're setting a precedence that we just need to be careful.
And like she said, this is the direction that we were initially going, and so that's why I'm assuming that that's still the direction we're going. That's the only reason I've been
whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So this, so Raw,
We didn't know, we had never seen this. When it got put in front of us, we said, well, we can't redo the whole thing. But yeah, if we section it off and make sure that there's enough buffer and everything and there's a lot of things that go into that. It's a big if, but if everything's in order, the direction we were going was to make this a C3 and with the conditional use. And so if that's okay with everybody, then that's the condition, that's the way we can go. But if there's a different way you'd like to go, maybe if legal has a suggestion for a better way to go, let's talk about it.
well, so you're saying, and several of you've said this in certain ways, we wouldn't even be here tonight if that was split, because it would have already been approved.
Yeah.
So there you go, there's your answer. That took us a while. Right?
So does that have to go back to the planning commission, or can you come back in?
But I think she's asking, what is her next step? Are we asking her?
Right, and that's what Diane started, yeah.
Are we asking her to come back with a commercial, or are we asking her to come back with agriculture? Because I'm sure she's gonna do whatever we tell her.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what that process entails.
if that truly is the direction the planning commission was wanting to go, and that's where they thought they were going, then I agree, why don't we just make the decision?
The city amended the language within the C2 zone for that C3 for that very reason. That's clearly been the objective.
So can she come in tomorrow with 25 acres broken out in the application and we approve that? Or can we amend what she's already got and have the next meeting, we can approve 25 acres C3? Or does that go at the planning commission? I just need to.
The city council, in their approval, because they're the legislative body, right? In their approval, they can say, in their motion, I would recommend that we approve just the 25 acres that encompasses the site for the shooting range, for the meets and bounds, recorded by the city, whatnot, and get it done. And then we get it recorded and you guys just rezone, we just rezone that portion and we get a new tax ID number on everything else.
That's my question, does that have to happen before we can make our motion to do that?
Well,
I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that until I graphically saw it on something.
That's what I'm getting at, I'm just trying to help you know where we gotta go next.
well, let's work, right.
Brandon? That'd be a question for Brandon.
We're aware of that. We're not gonna recommend to the city council that they approve anything unless we know that what they wanna do is gonna fit on the parcel that they describe. And so, and that's not for us to do, that's for them to do. Make sure that all.
So I think we can present it to you guys, and if we do that, you guys decide if you wanna approve it or not. Is that, I mean, I think.
I mean, I'm just, I'm just thinking of the correct process for public noticing for an ordinance. As it's been proposed, the entire parcel is proposed for a rezone, and the public hearing would have been noticed to that effect.
Yeah, that's
If we're
true.
changing this to a portion of the property, I'm concerned that there wouldn't be sufficient public notice, which could give rise to a claim by a resident to stop the rezone. And so just to close that gap and make sure that we don't open up the city's action to a reversal,
Yeah,
which
that's
I know
true.
wouldn't be in any of your interests anyway, I would say we go back, we have the public hearing, we follow that process just to make sure that box is checked, and it closes the risk of a claim made by the member of the public that it didn't follow the proper.
So would that happen in planning commission or in a recommendation to council?
Typically, the planning commission holds our public hearings for us and then provides an updated recommendation based on that public hearing
That's what I'm getting at.
and additional discussions.
You'd have to go back through with the revised.
Yeah, but the city council is aware of the discussions thus far, and so the recommendation can be made after the public hearing as it is, and the city council, of course, has the final decision and discretion on a rezone. But my concern is just proper public notice and hearings.
Twice as noticed as it will be, not the other way around, but how does this stopping rezone applications affect that? Sending us to the back of the line in the same conversation as no more rezones till we redo our general plan, which.
We've already made applications.
Yeah, you've already made an application.
Yeah.
That's the question.
That's how I would interpret as well.
You'd be fine.
Yeah.
That, we didn't even approve that tonight, so hurry.
Yeah. No, because, yeah, this is
Right.
just an amendment to an existing application, so that, any action taken is not backtracked to current complete applications. So that's just my advice.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's when it comes to public noticing and public hearings, just to make sure that there's not a risk of a valid objection that could stop.
How do you guys
rezone.
feel about that?
What he said?
Yeah.
He's the attorney.
I would prefer that as well.
Yes. I've been up since 4 o'clock.
Dustin's got some stuff to say. He's jumping out of his seat back there.
Well, me and Gary just talking, I'm just saying, because I don't want this to be an issue again, right? So if this comes back to the planning commission and is proposed as a rezone to C3, I don't think we would recommend it. So I think we can, well, I mean, just talking with what I would vote, how Gary would vote, we may have a split commission, it may be, it may not. But I'm just saying I think it's not half and half on whether or not it gets recommended as C3 or stays with you and added as a conditional use. I don't think anyone's necessarily against the shooting range. I want to make that clear. Like, I'm not against those shooting ranges. Just making sure the lands where we feel it's should be zoned. So I'm just saying,
You know, and to her point, we're just giving a recommendation,
Yeah, correct.
so it might be proper for us
Exactly,
to say no because it doesn't meet the future land use plan, but, we've all discussed it and you guys can override that and say because we've discussed it and have an agreement in place, you guys can approve it. And so
I would be more comfortable
See,
allowing it in
as a commissioner, that's what we're bound to, we're bound to what we see on the future land use map. Without good justifiable reason to change that, I don't think we can. And so, that's what we're doing, we're just reading the rules and responding to them, so.
Well, are you forgetting the whole initial meeting we had with changing the language? And you specifically wanted in the C2, C3, can't be in C2, those are public minutes. That's why we feel frustrated, we went through this exact exercise. So, and we're told one thing, we went and did it, and now we're being told something entirely different.
Sorry about that. We're not professional at approving gun ranges in Plain City. And I know that sounds like I'm being a smart aleck, but honestly, that's so, yeah. So, yes, I am sorry, but this isn't something we do every day for the Planning Commission or the council. So, and I apologize for making light of your situation as well, so. Yeah. Right.
And I don't think if you're talking the initial meeting, the technical review, I think what I told you is we could take the commission and see what the commission
All right. I think we need to reel this in.
Well, it looks like we need to go back to the planning commission for a public hearing. And then you guys need to vote on it, and then it'll come to us, and we'll vote on it. I think you have a pretty good indication where we sit as a council, and pretty good indication where the planning commission sits too. So I think that's kind of where we're at.
So,
Can't speak for the other two, I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah. So last time Amy came and visited us, though, we tabled it. So does that mean we have to deny it first?
No,
in
it's just a
council
work
meeting?
session.
I know this is a work section here, but do we have to officially deny it in a city council meeting before then they can go back to the city council? Because right now it's just tabled.
Oh, I see what you're asking.
Yeah, and you're right, but I don't speak for everybody here.
Based on the
He has
attorney,
to
what he
defend us.
says.
Yeah, I feel
was
much comfortable.
proposed differently back then, though.
And
So,
just to cite
one
state
of
law
us.
too on that part, 10-20-503 in the Utah Code says a legislative body may not make any amendment authorized by this section, which is the land use ordinance amendments for municipal Land Use Development and Management Act. It says a legislative body may not make any amendment authorized by this section unless the legislative body first submits the amendment to the Planning Commission for the Planning Commission's recommendation. And then it continues on with public hearing that needs to be held. So the way I am interpreting this is we've had the whole parcel proposed to be rezoned. That's what has been addressed thus far. This is also a work meeting just meant to kind of discuss it. Now that we have in front of us a change, because the parcel is going to change, which means the zoning is going to change, it now needs to first be submitted again to the Planning Commission for their recommendation. So I just want to make sure that we follow that code as close to how it's written. I would rather not bend it to just make a fast decision. Again, just so that we're closing that risk that there could be valid objections that could stop it altogether and make us have to restart. So this is just intended to protect everybody, all the parties, including the developers and the landowners from, outside party objections that could stop the whole thing. So, yeah.
Okay.
That again, that's my advice to the city.
I just have one more question. I'm sorry to speak this much, but for Brandon, we started this with the previous attorney, and so I just want your assurance. I mean, we were looking for the best way to do this, and so if this is the way we're going, changing it to C3, doesn't meet with the pre-plans. Do we have enough precedent and enough safeguards in place that this doesn't set a precedent for other things like this?
No, and I understand the concern for precedence, but a decision to do a rezone is not like a binding law that governs future rezones. People may rely on this decision to try to support their own rezone, but nobody has a right to a rezone in another property just because it's like a previously approved rezone. So I'm not concerned about precedents being set when one property is rezoned to C3 for a shooting range where another property a mile away is not. Because the decision on this property will not bind the city council on future decisions for even similar proposals. And courts will say that no rezone is the same, not any one of them.
I'm saying if that happens, theoretically speaking, somebody comes in a mile away and says they couldn't use what we did here for this one as legal evidence to get what they want.
That's true, they can't.
They can't.
No. Again, this isn't, no property is the same, no considerations are the same. A shooting range a mile away can have completely different considerations, even if it's just minuscule, that could support a denial versus an approval on this particular property. And so courts are not even gonna disturb that discretion on the city council's part. So again, I'm not concerned about precedents being set if this is changed to a C3 for a shooting range and then someone asks for something similar within the area. And that's true too.
Well, and I
Plan
still,
as a guideline.
I still think there's some recreational. No, I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you, but what I'm saying is, in my mind, it's recreational, and there's a piece there that helps tie it back to this use too. But, yeah.
The problem is we have to rewrite our
No, well, you wouldn't. I just said in my mind, as a council member that's gonna take the heat for this, if somebody doesn't like it in the future, that is how I justify it. That doesn't mean that it's matching whatever code. That just means that's what I'm using to justify it in my mind, because it is recreational. If the city is going to be allowed to use this, I don't know, from 5, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're gonna have to figure that out, because that'll be part of it. That's how I'm justifying it. So. Yep. And the other,
It's about the same time frame. Now, if you do it as an A2, or leave it as an A2 and add the conditional use, it's just the time frame for passing an ordinance, which is the same as a rezone, essentially, except without the review that's attached to rezoning. It's because we're not changing the zone. It would now be just adding a conditional use as an ordinance, which has just some other considerations. So time frame wise, you're looking at about the same amount of time. The general plan currently anticipates this as recreational parks zones. So if you want to try and preserve that same type of nature in this area, you may consider having a shooting range as part of those types of zones, as part of A2, rather than commercial. If you approve this as a commercial, you're also opening it up to all the other permitted uses as well in case the project fails. And now you have this block of commercial zone in the middle of what's anticipated to be more recreational.
And I don't have the code in front of me, but they are, like it says, heavy industrial use.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking to try and conform as closely to the current general plan, keep it as A2, add the conditional use to A2 zones, and then we go process it as a conditional use instead. I think the time frame is going to be about the same either way.
That's just what I've seen. I've seen future land use being more in conformity with the A2 than it is the C3.
Agreed. But to personally, so where I'm coming from, just real quick, I'm sorry.
no, you're good.
So we're gonna have that 17 acres possibly coming from the winery property. We're gonna have, we're gonna eventually be burying the landfill. The state and counties are trying to get rid of the poos, and so that's gonna be a major area that the city has that we're gonna be able to do something really big with. And I think that this is gonna be a very special case where, having a gun range there and then us doing something as a city with that huge area makes a lot of sense. And so I think it makes sense for us to maybe, make this an exception and change it to C3 for that reason. Then we don't have to worry about like her concern and, some other concerns that might come up having this added to an A2 zone. And, I think we'll be able to control it a little better,
Mm.
keeping it in the commercial zone. And, just for, just the long term, I think it'd be better to keep it there. But that's just my opinion.
And as the landowner, honestly, we really are going to push in the general plan amendment for this area to be like an M1 zone. It makes a lot of sense to the city to have an area where you can put some light industrial. Whether or not they approve that, that's not my call, but, that's something that we would really like to work on the general plan, of creating something that makes sense with the new West Legacy corridor going right now.
The city needs more, I agree.
I agree too.
City needs what?
Commercial.
Oh,
Not anywhere up here.
in the right spot, I've said that all along. I said that in the first general plan meeting, and
Yep.
I felt like I got thrown out of the room, but we need it. We need it to sustain,
Yep.
unless you want your property tax to go through the roof.
Like 553%.
Yeah, something like that. Where'd you get that number from?
I just, right off the top of my head.
That's just smart growth. And we're going to get growth no matter what. All the people that are gonna stop it, they're not. It's coming, so let's just do it smart. That's all I ask for. I agree.
Okay, are we good?
Clear as mud?
Okay. I don't know if we answered your question, though.
Yeah, that. Maybe.
Okay. So one last question, Brandon. What about his question?
Last time we saw her, we tabled this.
Oh, yeah.
So in our next meeting, do we need to deny it for them to then go back to the planning commission?
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Or amend. Just amend. I think that's appropriate.
Tax ID that is all 50 acres.
Yeah.
Description is still 26 acres.
That's if we stay C3 though, not if we go A2, right?
I think C3 is kind of the vibe I'm getting, but I don't know. Whatever you guys want.
So at the end of the day, it's tabled. If it's amended, it can come back as an amended discussion and a motion and discussion on an amended rezone application. You don't have to affirmatively throw it out, deny it, or modify it. It can just remain tabled until it's amended and it comes back. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Okay, I guess we're done.
I'll make a motion to
We
adjourn.
have to have a motion to end.
Yep.
On work meetings, yeah. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Cow.
Yeah, that'd be great. Since you're down there.
Yet? Neither have I.
I'll see you guys later. Hey, thanks for coming.